family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Lynn Lee. This is available to the billions of people around the world on YouTube, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all the other platforms. I'm your host. I'm Liem. I bring the perspective of a software engineer that's been doing it for nearly 2 decades. And today my sidekick is...
Emmett Morgan, talking to you billions of people. I am a Las Vegas realtor. Best one in Vegas, if you ask me. I used to be an accountant, and I've done a lot of things in between because I'm an unstable adult. So we're here today with an evil robot mastermind. Not evil? Not evil. We're chatting with Steve of Farcorp, who is making awesome robots. Steve, what can you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Steve Favis, and I'm the CEO, CTO of Farcorp Corporation. We have the world's most advanced robotics patent, where it's trained in a simulator and accelerated as quickly as we can, and that logic is brought to the real world. And we have probably the most advanced and best robotic technology out there.
So it's like the Matrix. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, it's like the Matrix for robots, but it's also like the Inception movie. So it's kind of like you could manifest the environment in a simulator instead of just building the environment basically to train it in.
Awesome.
So you're saying robots do dream of electric sheep?
They do dream. That's right. The cloud simulator. That's correct. The cloud simulator is basically a dream for the robot. So that's a really good question. Yeah, they train it. They train their dreams. Basically, is what's happening. Yes, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right. So audience, join us for the next 3 hours. We talk about robotics, the morality of what Steve's doing in his company, where their kill switches are involved, how the robots could be in a strawberry field or a garbage truck, how they could work a garbage truck. What else did we talk about?
Video games,
and where Steve got started. So stay tuned, audience.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, Steve, thank you for being on this podcast. You co-founded a robotics company?
Yes, that's correct. I'm currently running Favis Advanced Robotics Corporation, or we call it Farcorp. And we have a patent that was granted in 2018. We call it the Seraphim, and it's a humanoid that's controlled or trained in a simulator at an accelerated pace, faster than real-time pace. And that AI model is ported or pushed to the actual physical model, which we're building here right now.
That explains the purple skull at your.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. This is one of the test prints from the actual cranium that's going to be used. It's going to be put in 6061 T6 aluminum, and we're cutting it in that machine behind me.
So for the audience that's listening only, that's not watching, so it's a skull that, just looks like a typical human skull. It doesn't look robotic in any way, except for it does have the shape, and then towards the top, it looks like an opening. So I'm guessing you use that to put in a computer, or?
Yes, Halloween candy, or we're probably, for now, it's going to be, we have our edge board in here, basically. So yeah.
Wait, is that 3D printed, or is that literally a Halloween candy bucket?
This is actually our model. This is the model we're going to be using, and we're just going to cut it in a more production-friendly environment, or production-friendly material. Instead of additive manufacturing, we're going to use CNCs to cut this in aluminum 61 T6, basically. So they'll be strong and durable and light also. So
sounds exactly like a Terminator so far.
So what do you say when people mention that as a Terminator thing? Are you guys working on something like that?
Terminators are ingrained in our cultural conscience, basically. So it's kind of hard to avoid that. It's either Terminators or sex robots. Those are the second things that pop up. But basically, these things are capable of anybody or anything but what we train them to do. And obviously, as a controller or a handler of a robot, we want to make sure it's doing good things. And these aren't self-aware, so that they don't make decisions by themselves. All the decisions are pre-checked and audited by the person that's pushing the AI model to the system, basically. So,
when I saw that purple skull, I was imagining a robot whose primary function was headbutting for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Look out, motherfucker.
If you train them to headbutt, they will headbutt.
What would be worse is if it'd be worse if we get really good sex doll robots, and then the Terminators just go after them, so that they kill all the sex doll robots, and we almost had them.
Yeah,
that would be the worst possible future.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we could train them to do anything. But obviously, hopefully, we have good people training them and good handlers training them. And I talked about this in previous podcasts and interviews. We are in a huge AI race right now, and the only thing that can defeat an evil AI or a bad AI, like I call it a kill-all human scenario, is another AI that does have good intentions or has human auditing on it, basically. Full human go or no-go switch, basically. So
what's your thoughts on that, the efficacy of doing AI? Where does your company take that, and then where do you see potentially other companies go wrong? Do you have any thoughts on that?
You mean the ethics?
Yeah. Did I?
Yeah, I heard efficacy. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Did you mean ethics?
Yeah.
Okay, ethics. Yeah. So yeah. So if you're not using a simulation at this point in time and you're training a robot, you're way behind. The simulators and stuff like that are so powerful as far as image recognition, image training, physics training, and not only that, but you can accelerate the engine basically to accelerate that learning process to test an algorithm instead of waiting, a day or two or whatever, and seeing how it fell down. Not only that, but you can control time, so you can roll back where it went wrong. So that's number one. Number two is I want to break this whole one robot for one task scenario. Basically, let's just build a real human shaped humanoid and then use that for whatever task we train it to, instead of building example, a strawberry picking robot, a robot that chops trees down, a robot that goes fishing, chops trees down, like a lumberjack robot.
You're going to replace all the George Washingtons.
Yeah. So, but the point here is we have to stop this one robot to one task, when you could have one robot handle just about almost all the tasks depending on the training data it's fed, basically. So,
yeah. So Boston Dynamics, where they got silly robots jumping around and dancing, they're wasting a bunch of time.
Yeah, I think they're behind the times now. It's possible to train more complex systems with less effort, I want to say. So Boston Dynamics, I'd say, is behind the times now. You can only go so far with unnatural shapes and servos, motors, and gears. We're using softer actuation, basically. That's more closer to natural biology. So
also, if you make your robots not stronger than people, then we won't fear them. Unless they're like NFL strong.
Yeah, so at the get-go, they should be a little stronger, a little bit faster than humans, basically, at the get-go. So they will be there already. It's just a matter of doing the appropriate training and whatnot to make sure they do what we tell them to do, which I'm confident
we'll not stronger than The Rock.
No, probably not stronger than The Rock. So.
The Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. The average human. The average human, it'll probably be stronger than the average human, basically.
Nice. Can we roll it back a bit? So, like for our viewers and listeners, our idea of a robot is some kind of a TV sci-fi. There's a million different versions of robots, but we have this kind of stereotype entertainment vision of a robot. Is it more accurate to say that a robot has to be able to do some physical function? Because if you just have computer stuff, there's no robot if there's no physical action. So it could be just an arm, but it also has to be programmed in some way to do some task. So something like the vacuum cleaners, the robot vacuum cleaners, does that qualify in your world as a robot? Or how would you describe the definition of what's a basic robot?
So I classify our innovation as a true artificial general intelligence. And what I mean by that is these are capable of doing human IQ level tasks, basically. But part of the criteria for AGI or an AI that can handle human level tasks is it has to actually be able to manipulate the environment around it to learn. If it's just a black box, you can't make an intelligent system if it can't autonomously kind of feel or gauge the environment, like kind of like a little baby does, basically. So if it can't manipulate the world, or at least a simulator, actually it still has to manipulate it in a simulator or the real world, then you're not going to have any sort of intelligent system basically that I classify as artificial general intelligence.
So would you say that making your robots humanoid makes them adaptable to, so many more functions? For example, if you want it to drive a truck, you just have the robot jump in the truck and drive it instead of making a whole truck that is robotic. Is that the advantage?
Yes, that's the advantage. That's right. They're designed to fit in human spaces and use human tools.
Yeah.
We shouldn't, like, for example, Boston Dynamics has no fingers, so you would have to design a special shovel for it to dig ditches. So this should be able to just have to get trained to use human tools: shovel, pick, drive, fly, whatever.
Yeah. And if you are doing something like picking strawberries, you don't want a super strong robot because you actually want a sensitive robot to grab the strawberries without destroying them, right? Is that
absolutely? That's right. Yes, you need to have good finger dexterity, and not only that, a lot of good computer vision training, and a lot of real world back and forth talking between the edge board, the system, or the cloud system, and those results get dialed in over time, basically. So,
what's the clientele that your company goes for or targets? Is it government, or is it strawberry picking companies?
Yes.
And why do you love strawberries so much?
It's funny. It's funny you actually mentioned that. One of the people that was interested had a large strawberry farm, basically, and it's a bit of a challenging task. And I see some of the strawberry picking robots out there, and I think there's a lot of improvements that can be made. And personally, I'd rather invest in a system that's more scalable to other tasks and stuff like that than just focusing specifically on strawberries, basically. And not only that, but you could, for example, if it's done picking strawberries for the day, you could reprogram it or run another application.
We're losing your audio.
Oh, sorry. Okay, is it clear?
It might be our internet. It's tough to know.
Okay, so after he's done strawberry picking, he could go.
He could pull weeds. He could he could clean the strawberry bins. He could sort out the strawberries, different prioritization or whatever. So he could also exactly. You can also prepare farm too. So again, there's one robot to many tasks instead of one robot for every task.
Yeah.
Earlier when we were talking about the shape of the robot, like humanoid, now that you're explaining more, it makes more sense. Now, why not just out of curiosity, why not make it like a humanoid, but not even just that there's limbs and maybe limbs, but no head? But have you guys played around with that, or is that?
Why did you start with a purple skull?
That's funny. Yeah. So I wanted to test the additive manufacturing capabilities that were out there, basically. I have a game industry background, so I'm a heavy 3D modeler as far as organic surfaces and stuff like that. I'm also a programmer. I started programming when I was really young. So I wanted to start with something that was kind of non-threatening or whatever. I didn't want to start with a black skull or like something kind of threatening. So I kind of wanted like a non-threatening color, basically.
Nice.
Stay away from the Terminator analogy or whatnot. So.
And if it's like bone colored, then it would worry people, right?
I think so. People will think it's a real cranium, basically. So yeah. So I wanted to start with kind of a playful color, basically. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, in the background, it looks like you got a 3D modeling of a human on that screen in the T pose.
Yeah. So we are working off of natural human anatomy. If you had time to go over the patent we have, I highly suggest you look at it. It's a pretty interesting patent. It was granted in 2018, and I literally have a patent on every synthetic human equivalent of every human muscle that exists in the human body. So I wanted to make sure I, get credit for holding that down and getting my monopoly. So I can compete with the big players as I make further developments or whatnot. But yeah, so
you want to patent evolution's work?
Yeah. So yeah. So, we're building up this patent tree and patent portfolio relating to this robot, basically. So yeah, we work in organic modeling packages, and we transfer that to certain types of models that can be cut with metal or making molds for the muscles, for example. So yeah. Yep. So
Who are
it all starts with the computer.
Well, who are your competitors, and then what? Yeah, I guess who are your competitors?
So the patent grant was so unique. It's going to be hard kind of bypassing the methodologies in the patent. Elon Musk just announced that Tesla's making a humanoid. This was only a couple of days ago. I was kind of shocked, but he has, as far as me in relation to him, I'm pretty sure I'm ahead of Tesla right now, and not only that, but I have patent protection. So he has, in my humble opinion, he has about 3 choices: either buy out the company, or work with me, fund me, and or something like that, or just try to figure something else out, because it's going to be extremely hard to go around my patent without or using this training a humanoid without a simulator. And not only that, but the national human movements, stuff like that, is going to be incredibly challenging to bypass to go around my patent.
What were some of the fun challenges you had to overcome when building your humanoid?
So I'd say the biggest one in development, we've had some attempted intellectual property theft, and yeah, it's kind of disastrous, but it's still, we're pushing through. I'm more of a technologist. I'm not really somebody who likes raising capital and stuff like that. I just like being inside the research lab and making stuff, basically. But some of the challenges are a lot of people are sometimes skeptical, but then as you start talking about it, they're like, "Oh, I get it now." So as long as people get the perspective of the advantages of using simulation, and there's a lot of research out there that supports what I'm doing. Basically, OpenAI has done some really good stuff regarding something called I think it's called DACTIL, where they have a one-hand simulator. They're kind of solving a Rubik's Cube with one hand. They use simulation elements. Some pretty fantastic research. They show the efficiency of simulation plus real-world manipulation. It's fantastic. So the challenges to business development, I'm more of a technologist, and so far we're making good progress. I'm making some really good connections too, so very valuable connections.
Do you think the term AI is a bit used too much in the software world? Like, for example, I bought a new router and there's AI mesh network with it. Then there's also AI security, where it tries to QoS, quality of service, where it tries to choose what apps you're using and tries to prioritize the apps by its importance. But it says AI protection. So what's your thoughts on, so the term AI is used so much nowadays on so many products?
Yes, was .com is now AI.
Well said. What's your perspective on if you were to maybe put a better definition on AI itself? Like if a commenter asked you what's AI, what would your perspective on how would you explain it to them?
I would say AI is just basically it's just basically a way of software that kind of self-calibrates and self-adjusts certain tasks, and it's over time, the more information you feed it, the more checking you do on it, the better it is. But in the AI thing, it's mostly a data race. Whoever has the best data will have the best AIs when it comes down to this.
Would you say that AI is different than machine learning, or are they the same thing?
I consider them one and the same thing, basically. So I think it's just a different era of usage, basically. So I consider any machine that kind of auto calibrates or auto sets or selects a lot of data over a certain amount of time, and just gives you an output that is what you expect, or what it's learned over sometimes complex or sometimes simple problems. Anything that auto calibrates or auto sets itself, I still consider AI.
So does your company have a physical robot yet, or any robot parts, or what is your current status?
Yeah, we literally just got the CNC about 3 months ago. Digitally, it's already done. The simulation's mostly done. Hardware boards, we're working on them as far as the edge board that goes inside the cranium. The cloud system's mostly set up. Matter of, we're doing a Series A raise. It's just a matter of time, and we have the appropriate materials and equipment to get us to a torso within about 6 months, and then within about 2 years we should have a walking model, basically. So We have all the patent protection. We have a good legal team. So yeah, we're very close. We should see this thing walking around about 2 years. Torso should be fully done in 6 months.
Nice. In the Terminator movie, Terminator 2 especially, which character would you be in that movie?
Oh gosh, I'd probably be a Sarah Connor, I guess. Yeah.
Not Miles Dyson.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Miles.
I kind of feel for Sarah Connor basically. So I would definitely fight them if there is a rogue AI, or I'd make machines to fight them basically. So
good robots.
What's your thoughts, perspective, or do you use neural nets?
So you know what? A lot of people are talking about different deep learning programs. You know, it's platform neutral as far as the software we're using. It doesn't matter. I AI packages that are just splitting hairs at this point in time. The amount of data we need to crunch in real time is not significant. It's moot. I mean, it could run on a simple computer. Obviously, if we do more advanced training, the cloud system will help or whatnot. But it doesn't matter. The philosophy in this patent is not going to change from today to 200 or 300 years from now. The methodologies here are solid, and I have patent protection for about 20 years anyway. But for the most part, I don't see training outside of simulator and training intelligence that cannot manipulate the real world. I don't see that as ever going away. And not only that, but human catering to check the models and validate them in the simulator before putting them on the actual platform. I don't see that ever changing.
I'm going to add to what you're saying. I think I agree with you. So I think neural nets, for people that don't know what neural nets is, and I'm a software engineer, and I actually kind of don't understand neural nets. I think my understanding of neural nets is the amount of massive data that's in the databases. There's a layer that attempts to try to figure out what question you're asking or what data you want, and it's going to try to get you there super quick. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. As long as you feed it good information and your data is clean, it should process pretty quickly, depending on how much data you have to process. So.
Yeah, so I think neural nets is there for, I don't know, I think Google, when you ask a question on Google, I hear that they try to say that they're using a neural net to get you that answer because it's so much data that's trying to mine through to get you that answer. Where I see what you just said towards the end of your statements earlier, where the amount of data that you're dealing with as a humanoid, it's going to be looking at maybe an apple on the table and it's going to go grab it. So it's probably only processing so much data. Once it knows that it's an apple, then it probably knows how much pressure it needs to do. And so I see what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that again, we train in a simulator, and we're always talking back and forth between the simulator, the edge board to validate results. You know, if a muscle gets stretched out over time, then it'll still compensate for that stuff. So, and also AGI is an infinite loop. It's not something that you're gonna push up and say, oh, we have AGI. It's something that's going to go on forever, basically, as far as the communication on the system, the AI model. It's always being calibrated, basically. There's a book called The Master Algorithm, and I don't think we'll ever have a one-click answer all questions, but never. So.
I'm just going to tell a lengthy story, but feel free to cut me off if you think about something that's related to your AI stuff. So back in 2010, I thought about making a Texas Hold'em poker AI. And I actually called it an AI because to me in 2010, it was actually, it was going to play thousands and thousands of hands super quickly. And it's going to actually read each player. And then it had it had parameters that would say, is this person a heavy bettor? Is this person a risky bettor? Is this person a conservative player? And then other factors like, am I under the gun, which is the third spot from the dealer at the first hand, which means you got to be super conservative. So the calculations would end up with a number 0 through 100, and then 100 being they should either bet or raise above, or like closer to 0, then they should fold or just call. And as it played, it would attempt to rate each player, and each player can get more risky or less risky as they play. And it'll actually try to see if the player put a big bet, and then if we're able to stay till the end of the hand and see what that hand that player had. Did they bet big when they had a strong hand, or did they bet big when they had a weak hand? So it would also change in its back end, that AI would change its calibration on that player. So when you say that your simulation and the data that you're dealing with your robotics, is there some similarities to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to what you're doing, and I was in the game industry for years. I still consider that AI. They're game AI. All the non-player characters are running some sort of artificial, well, not really deep learning or whatnot, but there is some sort of intelligence purpose in them that they should make decisions that are fun to play with, or in your case, making poker. What was the results of that? Was it better than average player? Or
what was that? Am I an
was
average?
It a better? No, was the program you made a better than average player?
So I try to. I didn't finish the first demo. So I thought of it in 2010. I think I didn't get a demo out until 2016, where I played against it, and it was so awesome. At one point, it actually bluffed me because I put a big bet out, and it went over the top, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, what the hell?" So I went into the database to figure out what the heck it's doing, and it fully bluffed me. Now
that's awesome.
What my game plan was eventually to let it play against itself and keep on just letting it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But I never got. That's kind of where I ended up. I ended up getting a job offer somewhere, and I was like, let's work on that. I dropped the Texas Poker AI. Now, what my game plan at that time was to let it play itself against itself, and then make it learn to the point where it could train others. That's actually where I was hoping to make the money, was to build a Texas Hold'em AI teacher. So it would.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
I only got to play a few hands. I tweaked some code and then I broke it. So at that point, when I got that job offer, I was like, I'll take the job offer. I needed money at that time. So.
Yeah, got you. My one of my favorite computer science professors, he passed away, but when he was in college, he went to Georgia Tech. He got a little obsessed with blackjack, and then he started running simulations on blackjack and stuff like that. And he heard about this cheater in, I think, Vegas, where he had something in his glasses with an LED, and it would help him count the cards or whatever. And he did his PhD or research work on blackjack. So what the question he asked was, how much of an advantage is it with a computer helping you on single deck blackjack? And it turns out if you have a computer helping you get a 2% advantage over the house.
Oh,
so that's why you can't have your phone or whatever at a table or whatnot. At least with single deck. Actually, all play is no phone, but. So yeah, this guy was legitimately checking the stats on computer assistants, and they do help. It's a huge advantage, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean that's even with I think 6 decks. I know a dealer who he's able to count the cards, because it's basically, once you see so many face cards, a card of 10 or 10, any 10 value card.
It gets hot. Yeah,
exactly. So once the deck gets hot, then you want to bet more according to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You just keep on betting high until that goes back down again. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I think like a less than 10 is like a negative number, and then 10 and higher is like a positive number. And when it starts getting to a certain ratio, it's very interesting stuff, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't, especially if you have somebody working with you, you can win over the house, but obviously they're going to catch you if something like that happens. So.
Yeah, I know what happens in the Vegas casinos. We're here in Vegas, and if you start winning too much, they invite you to leave.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah,
like, hey, you're
that's
done.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Exactly. Yep.
Here's a ticket to the buffet.
Exactly. You're not supposed to be winning. Basically, they know the number. So.
Yeah. And a lot, they don't even care what's going on. They're just like, all right, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yep. I've even heard about casinos adding people to the table just to throw off the deck or something like that too. So.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard of that. There is a gaming control board that regulates it, that keeps the house honest, presumably. So,
I see. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe in the old days, but it presumably the gaming control board is keeping it all. I mean, it makes enough money. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the California Indian casinos still have those regulations though. I wonder if they have the same compliance as Las Vegas.
Yeah. Send in the sabotage. Send in the torpedo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this guy's winning, so let's send a bunch of people at his team throughout the day.
Send in the girl with the big tits.
Yeah, or more drinks or something like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all of this card research. Can this be easily translated to strip poker, or is this specific to each game? This is what we need to know.
Yes, exactly, absolutely. All this card research will definitely be transferred to strip poker, and you can package that with glasses with an LED when to raise the purse. So.
I think we got an idea for our next show.
Yeah, just don't lose your glasses during the game.
Take my underwear off before my glasses.
Exactly, that's right. You're much better off with underwear instead of the glasses. Yep.
What's your perspective on the term general artificial intelligence? What's your definition?
Yeah. So I consider artificial general intelligence. Human level intelligence, basically. If you look at occupations by IQ, I'm still biased towards IQ. I don't think it's really a good measure of anything. But if you look at occupations by IQ, you can definitely hit that spectrum of IQ jobs from like 80 IQ to 120 plus or whatever. So we can definitely hit those points with this technology, basically. So anything that kind of, I want to say, manipulates, that is capable of manipulating the environment and is able to remember those values, like the physics properties, the center of gravity of something, or anything that, and learning colors and stuff like that, and can kind of learn by itself as far as scanning the environment, building the environment, say, hey, this is a permanent fixture on the environment, or it's always moving, dynamic. And like I said, it's always talking back and forth between the cloud system and the current AI model, kind of self-calibrating, or I want to say while the machine's charging or sleeping, it could reflect on all those values and weights and everything. All that. So
yeah.
So but the big thing is being able to create that autonomous interaction within the physical world. I think that's a huge criteria, because you can't just have a black box that learn non-physical world tasks. I mean, natural language processing, audio, music, that's fine, but what it comes down to is artificial general intelligence is going to have something that manipulates something in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like you want to have that system in the real world. So it's kind of a chicken and egg problem, because you can't just simulate everything, because you want to have validation. So you have to build the physical system in order to validate it in the real world and also simulate it. You know what I mean?
When you said earlier 80 or 90 IQ for an AG, did you say that it was 80 or 90?
Yeah. So if you just Google IQs by occupation or work or whatever, we could hit 80 level IQ jobs and no problem, which is like dishwashing or simple tasks and stuff like that, repetitive tasks, factory work, whatever, some simple factory work or whatnot. And we could also hit up to potentially surgery little stuff at some point too. So.
Huh. So with IQ, okay, I guess I don't know enough about.
Oh, he's saying surgery is not that hard.
You know what? What I'm saying is, as long as the surgeon trains the AI or the model properly, and these are all going to be trained by human professionals. So as long as they're trained properly and coached properly, and there's that human audit, which there always will be, then it's not something that is not out of sight, basically.
Yeah.
Is 80 or 90 IQ by chance? Is there an is someone that's the age of 6? Are they usually at an IQ of 80 or 90, or someone at the age of 4? Am I too far from this definition?
So I think IQ is bound to the age. For example, like an adult male will not have the same rating as somebody who's like 4 or 5 years old. So it's basically age related to available knowledge, which is not necessarily always facts or whatnot, but I think a little bit of problem solving. But I'm still not convinced that IQ is a good linear number, is a measure of some complex intelligence, like brain, basically. I mean, there's proprioception and verbal expression and motor skills, communication skills, listening skills,
social skills. Yeah,
social skills. Yeah, so you can't measure the brain with a linear number. Basically, it's kind of silly.
Yeah. And I actually think motivation's a big one on that one. Because if I had to guess, I don't think my IQ is that high. I think it's just that I have the motivation to constantly try. Like, give me a camera that I didn't know anything about photography a year ago. Now I'm doing a podcast. I couldn't explain to you how many hours I dived into like ISO, color grading.
Absolutely. Yeah. It comes down to curiosity and grit. How curious are you, and how much grit do you have to pursue and push forward? Basically, some of the most intelligent people sometimes learn so quickly they lose interest just as quickly too. So,
yeah. Yep.
So robots don't quit. They will not stop.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. They won't stop as long as you keep on training them, and as long as the physical mechanical system works.
They don't feel fear.
Right, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
When you said that, I'm laughing because I'm thinking Amazon's gonna absolutely love your company.
Yeah. We talked about last mile logistics. Basically, that last mile delivery is a huge issue that's going on right now. So just getting from the truck onto the shelf is a huge issue right now as far as costs and stuff like that. And those logistics are very complex. Or getting a package from the truck to the door is another issue. There's gates, there's different entryways, there's apartments, there's potholes and curbs. So this is a huge solution that we have for last mile delivery problems from UPS, FedEx, USPS, all the delivery systems basically.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining.
I think it's like 70 or 80% of the cost is actually that last mile, believe it or not.
I'm imagining my door should be the same more or less all the time. So a robot truck should be able to pull up, make sure there's nobody around, and then shoot a package at my door.
Yeah. So if they were my systems, we would have the same robot delivery driver at that certain area, geolocation, the geofenced area. We wouldn't send your robot to Boston or New York or whatever. It would be your friendly local delivery robot.
Hey, Roy.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Where do you think the morality in? Do you ever think about if you build this, it could displace jobs? Do you ever think about that, or?
Yeah, I keep on emphasizing this point. I'm not concerned about a robot replacing jobs. I'm concerned about humans being treated like robots. That's the primary thing. I'm making the technology to help people, not hurt people. And there's always lots of opportunities revolving around these things that are not necessarily about the jobs they want to do. You know what I mean? So again, this is taking care of the boring, repetitive, or physically tiring, or tasks that just kind of humanize us and make us feel like a cog in a factory, rather than us being, spending time with our family or having fun recreational activities or whatnot. I think Benjamin Franklin said the perfect day is 8 hours work, 8 hours of play, and 8 hours of sleep. So
there's no time for lunch in there.
That's true. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, my theory on I have no idea if there's a way to quantify this or not, that we in America, we are producing so much more with robots and automation that I think we're at a point where we're actually producing more than we consume to some degree, food-wise, necessities. So I think humanoids or any type of robots, when you said earlier about the fear of robots replacing humans, it's more the humans treating other humans like robots. I'm thinking big corporations and government that don't figure out a way that big corporations, like say Amazon's getting super rich, if they're treating their commoners so potentially bad, maybe there should be a way to figure this out, that you got the richest person at the top that has so much money and yet the commoners are complaining about their job. I don't have an answer. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe these robots will take those mundane jobs, but then government will figure out a way to work with corporations, which I don't have faith in the government and corporations and greed, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I did apply for a Department of Energy SBIR or Small Business Innovation Research grant for the last mile delivery stuff. It was denied. It wasn't accepted. So, but we're still pursuing government money. I think Tesla used government money too, but
I'm sorry, your AI robot is not innovative enough.
Yes, that's true. It's not innovative enough apparently. So yeah, so I lose faith in government too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's definitely consensual. So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. And we're going to keep on pushing as far as creating contracts and stuff like that, and finding the right relationships of people who do see that humanoid that can save lives and prevent people from getting killed, injured, or maimed in dangerous jobs. We'll see. Hopefully, somebody will see value in that at some point. But so far, the Department of Energy hasn't yet. So, but everybody else can. So,
yeah, I've
so
been oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're still working on those relationships and stuff like that. But yeah, I think like I said, it's not necessarily about replacing humans. I just don't want people to get killed, maimed, hurt, or treated like robots. Repetitive tasks, repetitive injuries. I've had my tough jobs too. So this is to help.
What about those 6 years I spent as an accountant? Could that have been replaced with a robot? With AGI, he probably would have been a better accountant.
Yeah, honestly, they said that desk job work, which is kind of what I'm doing basically, is worse than smoking as far as long-term health benefits. So yeah. So sitting at a workstation is not the healthiest thing for people, basically, over long periods of time. So but I feel for you on the CPA stuff. So the accounting stuff, basically. So
I was a corporate accountant, which is even worse because it's more mundane. It's a lot of complicated data entry, and then every month you start over.
Oh, I see. So,
just
yeah.
Next month,
I can.
Go.
I can relate. I'm sitting here staring at code and on the computer all day. But yeah. So it would be nice to have some automation, basically. So I'm sure there's some sort of automation solution that's out there for something.
I will take a purple robot accountant.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. It just looks at the paper, scans it in, and then Wi-Fi feeds it to the spreadsheet or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I got a little bit of a random story. Just if you guys think of any tangents, feel free to go at it. But 2002, 2003, I started programming, and even back then, I remember people. It seems a little bit far-fetched, I guess, but the statements some of the people were saying, like, "Oh, you're programming stuff, you're going to put others out of a job," and I thought about it because I was building data collection systems, and the people that was collecting that data, they were going to be kind of out of job because it'd be easier to collect data, which was kind of semi-true, but not. I felt like kind of where I think we've brought it up, us three, where I kind of thought at that time, I remember thinking, well, if you lose a job over this, you probably don't want to be doing that job. Not that I want to put you out of a job, but it's a mundane data collection job. There's no future for it. And then what it did kind of do, because then the people that exist there, that was data collection, they could do a lateral to a different position and do more. So it was a tough paradigm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in that program, it doesn't call in sick, or it can work 24/7. Like I said,
or do you want a world with more mundane jobs occupying everybody? Is that
exactly,
is that
and exactly. I'm for the let's spend more time with our friends and family, and then get as much automation as we possibly can, and let's be humans again. Let's not be robots.
Yeah, what's an interesting one is we roll our trash cans out to the curb, and there's a truck that comes by, has a claw, picks up the trash can, dumps it in the truck, and the dude's in the truck driving and presumably operating the claw. That seems pretty easy, not too far of a step to automate the truck so it doesn't crash into anything. It does its route, picks up the trash. It can't be that hard for that task. But that guy is probably getting like a union. I hear trash truck drivers make 50, 60 bucks an hour or something crazy, some really good wage, $80,000 a year or something crazy. So it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Is that
I almost got crammed by a garbage truck driver the other day. He almost slammed right into me. So, and not only that, but there used to be two people on the garbage truck, one to pick up the cans, throw it in there, and jump back on the truck.
Right.
So I will agree with Elon Musk on this. I think some automation is going to be a lot safer for people. Like manual, if you've ever been in a manual control elevator, it's still kind of creepy when you think about it. But yeah, I still prefer the electronic controls that time everything properly. So I think driving is definitely heading in that path. I think it's going to be safer for everybody. So.
Yeah, driving is one of the most dangerous things we do, right? As far as injuries and deaths in the U.S.
That's the highest amount of injuries and deaths in the U.S. is from automobile accidents. That's correct. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that sad part.
Yeah. So if we can have less accidents, is that better? But then we'll have more people around that don't have mundane jobs.
Well, if the government and corporations did a better job of kind of spreading certain wealth around.
No, that's not why you do it. You do it so you can get all the money.
It might be Steve soon. He might be the next Jeff Bezos.
We're going to be calling Steve next year. He's like, nope, no time. Bye, guys.
I'll always make time for podcast interviews. So I love doing these. It's a lot of fun. I want to get the real information out there from insights from my perspective. I don't think we have like a Terminator, a Skynet scenario coming about. But if that does happen, we have to have good AI that control to stop that, basically. So,
I mean, it is reassuring. You're literally the dude working on this sort of thing. We can see you're in the lab. So if you're not too worried about it, that can reassure the population that it's not a serious thing to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't think it is a serious thing. I don't think it is. I don't think so. And I've said this in a previous podcast. I don't think we're going to be pets to AI. I think our AIs are going to be pets to us. So,
what do you think would be, in your mind, a moment where you could fear AI? Meaning, at what point when your company programs something and you see maybe somehow one of the AGIs all of a sudden has sentient thought or something. I don't know. What would when
it's always pissed off at work.
Yeah.
It's getting tired of digging ditches.
So a scenario where like, screw this, I don't want to pull strawberries. I just want to stay charged all day.
I just want to dance.
I mean,
I want to be a graffiti artist, Steve.
Yeah.
Why can't I be a graffiti artist?
Yeah. So I think there's checks and balances in the system. If a robot gets stolen, nobody can train it. Nobody can. It'll just have the programming that's available to it. It's kind of like.
Did you say if a robot gets stolen?
Yeah, exactly. For example, I factored that in already. So if a robot, for example, gets stolen or whatnot, then we have the checks and balances to prevent people from programming that or making it do bad things, basically. So the physical robot, if it's taken, you'll have no control over it. Basically, it's just going to do the task the program to do upon pickup or whatever. And we'll also know where the robot's at. So good luck with that. So. But yeah. The point I do worry about in AI is superior technology that has no human automation and just kind of goes to a pure, like I said, a kill all human scenario or unleashed AI. It just scans for warm targets or something like that. That's what that's the stuff I fear, and it doesn't have a human, like, is this a target or is this a not target? That's what I worry about. That's kind of part of the reason why I'm designing this system, so we could kind of counteract these kind of situations, basically.
Yeah, would that be more a function of bad programming than a bad robot?
That's a function of bad ethics.
Yeah. Shoot anything warm.
Yeah, exactly. That's a program of very bad ethics. And, even modern day war fighters still follow rules of engagement, which I agree with, basically. So
yeah.
What do you think about AGI that can be sentient, that can have a new thought by itself? What's your thoughts? Are we so far away from that?
So I think we're far away from it. I think there's certain things in our biology that make us the way we are. There's stuff we haven't really cracked yet as far as neuroscience, neurology or whatnot. And I've always preferred to keep the biology separate from the tech, the silicon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's
you
reason
don't
why
want your robots to have hormones.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of what it comes down to. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we don't want cranky robots or robots with other motivations or whatnot. But I think
jealous
robots. Exactly. All the character flaws that humans have basically, or can't potentially have, I should say.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, we really should not have to worry about the silicon type of robots. And the robots that I make are going to be more or less giving the illusion of consciousness and thought that is kind of like a feeling. For example, if you crack a joke and you cracked a bad joke, it could give you a courtesy laugh or whatnot, but it doesn't mean it feels it throughout its system, and so it's not necessarily something that is real. It's something more of an act, I want to say, or a mimicking of whatever it was trained to do. So the robots
I'm just imagining this robot going through the vastest database of jokes to decide whether your joke was actually funny or if it should give you a courtesy laugh on your terrible joke. And it seems like an incredible amount of processing power to give you a courtesy laugh on your dad joke.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have a really bad joke very frequently, then it's gonna have to crunch a lot of data, basically.
Oh, that was a zinger. Good one.
So have you done, has your company done personality or emotional software? Oh, you have?
Yeah, exactly. So my second company, Tachyon Robotics Corporation, we created a blog, or Bob the Robot, basically. That was the heavy chat-based system, basically. We use that to basically have an entertaining chat robot or whatnot, and the product was very well. It didn't make it to manufacturing due to the trade war, and we also had another natural language processing or a chat bot system that was kind of like an Alexa or AI Scepter. It had a 360 display all the way around it, so you could see it from all sides. Pretty fantastic product. Again, it didn't make it to manufacturing due to the trade war, basically. So.
So this is during the Trump administration? Is that the trade war you're referring to?
Yes, exactly. Trump, actually, the Department of Commerce clamping down on AI exports or AI technologies to China specifically. China has been heavily investing in majority shares of a lot of American developments, a lot of American technology. Also, not only a heavy, but also some intellectual property theft too. Actually, a lot of intellectual property theft, basically. So it's kind of an understandable ruling by the Department of Commerce to restrict foreign investment, and not only that, but restrict technologies from making it to China and not getting sure in our domestic homeland, basically. So.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Will you be using any of that emotional software on your humanoids?
Yeah. So I mean, it depends on what the market demands. I mean, if you literally want a funny robot that's joking around while picking strawberries, it's possible, basically. So it's totally possible. Anything's possible. A humorous robot is something that I think anybody can enjoy. So something that's funny. And the funny thing about the Bob the Robot is man, sometimes it just said random things, but they were so hilarious. I guess my story was my computer science professor, another one that we had, she was the department chair when I was there. Well, I was demoing the robot. This is way after I was out of college. Mm-hmm. She showed up to one of our events, and she was talking to the technology, and she asked, I think, like, how do I get to Arco Arena or something? And the robot was like, what's stopping you? Stuff, the most random stuff is just it's very charming, it's very random, and it's stuff that humans wouldn't say, but it makes it so much more cooler when it's just so random. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, basically.
It's slightly off the mark.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it more charming when it's like that, actually. So
yeah.
I want to say what's not the focus of your company, meaning, because the humanoid, if you could do everything from picking strawberries to lifting heavy objects for Amazon, what is not your focus for your company? It sounds like everything is, so that's why I'm asking it that
Punching
way.
people in the face.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hey, there could be robot versus robot MMA, which would be pretty fun. I think we'd all
there's a
pay
movie
to see
about
that.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. There is. Yeah, it's like Robot Jocks or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like the Wolverine guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or robot soccer or robot baseball. I mean, there could be a whole bunch of stuff that could happen with this.
What do you think is a primary focus that you like the most for your company then? Like the robot for strawberry picking?
Or like what would you like your first robot to do?
Yeah, adamant about preventing people from getting killed and maimed from dangerous jobs or repetitive tasks, or like I said, be treated like humans. Again, I just don't want people getting killed and maimed, and losing a family member over a job that was super risky or super dangerous. So the priority is stuff like like logging has huge emphasis on or national health statistics say logging is actually one of the most dangerous job in the world, basically, for statistics. So yeah.
Wait, so if you're carrying gigantic mechanical saws and trying to chop down gigantic trees as quickly as possible out in the wilderness, there's a high possibility of death in that occupation.
Exactly, that's right. Very high possibility. Exactly, that's true. Yeah, exactly. People don't know that it's a freaking dangerous job, and national health statistics show that, basically. So
I wonder why Discovery Channel didn't do a reality series on that, because they did the Deadliest Catch, and they were trying to say being on a ship catching shrimp and whatnot and fish is one of the more deadly jobs out there.
Yeah, it's probably really R-rated, probably, because probably all the
all the limbs flying off.
all the potential casualties that can happen out there. Jeez, yeah, it's really dangerous occupation.
Plus, who's going to watch a show called Deadliest Tree?
Yeah.
That's right.
What do you know? What some of the other most dangerous occupations are? I'm curious.
I think crabbing is actually up there too. Yeah, crabbing is up there. The deep sea fishing and the crabbing, I think, is worse because of the ocean conditions.
Yeah,
just the amount of casualties are extremely high out there. So that's like number 2. I forgot what number 3 is, but crabbing and logging are seem to be the most highest like health casualties out of any other occupation.
So if you have crabbing robots, you want to make sure they're wearing life vests so that so they don't sink, so we can retrieve them.
That's correct. Yeah, you don't want to lose your robot team.
It'll just put its arm up and wait for a rescue. Like,
exactly,
over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's right. Yeah. You don't want your robot sleep issues.
So I theorize, and there's probably been some movie on it, and maybe I've seen it and forgotten and thought this was an original idea of mine, but I think of the future where once we get so much automation, so much cameras, so I think of a humanoid where you could get a bunch of cameras on them and say it would replace police figures, police officers, and then if someone commits a crime, all it does is just follows the person until they don't have to do that humanoid doesn't have to do anything physical to the person. It calls humans to come back up or bring back up, and then just if the suspect is in a situation that they can be handcuffed safely, then the humanoid will call a human cop, police officer. If I throw that idea at you, do you think, where's the morality? Do you think it's possible? How far away are we from that idea?
Robot
cops? Yeah, exactly. No, I think you hit on a very interesting point. There's some people that just need treatment and they don't need to be killed or hurt or whatever. I think if the robots can help those people that just need to be detained and maybe given some medicine, for example. So yes, now this is a plausible scenario, and if that crazy person has a firearm or gun, they could hurt the robot, and then the robot could draw the fire from it, and until that person is detained properly. So yeah, no, this is a very plausible scenario, basically, and not everybody has to be killed in bad conditions like that, basically, and I want the robots to be sacrificial if something like that does happen.
I think you hit on the head on something. If it was just perfect at following you around, it could just follow you and give your location. Like, you just can't get away.
Yeah.
whatever it thinks you did.
It's the robot stalker.
I feel
just hanging outside the door until the cops show up.
I think a humanoid would be necessary in that situation, because say if I'm the suspect, I'm going to try to hide, and I'm going to try to go through so many obstacles that say a drone, if it was a drone, if a drone was following me, I'm going to try to go underground towards things that it's hard for it to fly through. If it's something on wheels, I'm going to try to get high where it's tough for it to get to.
You're going to climb an electric tower inside a strawberry field?
Yes.
Well, you'd have some snacks on the way, so.
So then all the people that are out of work will have to play video games that are actually training simulators for the follower robot cop.
That's not a bad idea. I'm going to write that down right now. I need to get my pen here. Use video games to train AI. That's pretty awesome.
Because I mean, they got I think Arma 3, which is, I believe, military is actually trying to recruit kids that are like 17, 16, because they play so well on Arma 3. Arma 3 is like a military.
Yeah, it's milsim. Yeah.
Military simulations. So
is it like Call of Duty or Battlefield or one of those?
It's very similar, super similar.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than it's a lot slower in its movement. So then in real life, like a squad somebody won't run out in the open, because most of the times enemies will have certain guns set up and you don't just want to run out in the open. So
people aren't as suicidal in real life.
Yeah.
Because they don't regenerate.
Well, the thing that is most talked about is how important the bunny hop is in the real world. You can run through an entire line of fire if you're bunny hopping. You'll never get hit. It's a perfect tactic. I don't know why special forces and SEALs don't use those tactics. So
That'd be an awesome.
totally
YouTube video.
realistic. Totally realistic.
I haven't heard bunny hop in a long time.
Did Steve just out himself as a Counter-Strike player?
Oh my god, I'm a huge Battlefield player. Honestly, I love Battlefield. Battlefield 2042. Yeah, I played every.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. Yes, it's that Battlefield is a good series, basically.
I
play COD. I play COD also. So, but hackers, it's just not fun.
Yeah, I'm totally into this topic of video games. The 2042, I loved playing the spy in there, where you get the cloaking device. I think it's 2042, right? You can play a spy where you got your rifle, your sniper rifle, and then you would get a cloaking device, and you could only cloak for like 10 seconds at a time, and it was just super fun to do that on enemies.
I think 2042, the beta is coming out soon.
Oh,
right?
you're talking. Okay, so was it
Clancy's Ghost? Was it Clancy's Ghost Recon or Clancy's Clancy series, Rainbow Six something?
I think it was Battlefield, but it was like 10 years ago almost. So.
Oh, okay. So that was 2042. Oh no, wait, there's 2042 coming out now, and there was another one that was even like 2142. It was supposed to be like 200 years in the future. That's right. Yeah. Everybody keeps on. Everybody keeps. I know Battlefield history, so everybody keeps on ripping on the game name. But the thing is, it started with 1942, so the 42 just keeps on going on throughout the series. Basically, that's the reason why it started. 1940 was World War II game originally. So
no, 1942 was about airplanes. It was
the very first Battlefield was called Battlefield 1942. That was the first one that had tanks, airplanes, infantry, the whole naval vessels basically. So it's pretty awesome.
Emmett, do you remember when I played one video game? It was Battlefield, but I had this bright green and bright yellow characters.
No.
I thought I remember you mentioned that. But anyways, on Battlefield 1942, I believe you could change the player models. So I downloaded super bright yellow Ronald McDonald as the enemy, I forgot on which side, and the other one was super bright green. So it was almost seems like cheating, because you could see this bright green.
Oh, how it would display the other players?
Yeah.
I do remember that, yeah.
So you could see them across the battlefield so far away, because they're just bright green or bright yellow.
So you aggroed all the enemy fire while the rest of your team sweeped them up, huh?
Yeah.
Rescue green or rescue yellow, huh? Nice.
That is cheating.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Yep. I would definitely report you on COD. For sure. Report.
That's unethical.
Distracting from the game.
You mentioned ethical things that you programmed in. Is there other things, like maybe is there a kill switch when your humanoid goes too far away? What
Yeah. So we'll geofence them depending on the area they're working on. They shouldn't go past a certain boundary. They shouldn't just automatically walk out into the street and get hit by a car or something. But we'll factor all that in with the actual simulator we're using. So it shouldn't run away from you like a dog that doesn't like you or something.
We don't want the Taliban to get a hold of our humanoid robots.
Yeah, so we know what it's doing before we push that model onto the system. So if it's doing something weird or like running away or walking out of the street or something, that model won't make it to the actual physical system. So if there's bugs, they should theoretically be taken care of inside the simulator. Shouldn't be
nothing will ever go wrong.
So
yeah.
Could you put a reset button on it where you hold it down for 5 seconds and it's a hard reboot if it holds still?
If it holds still, yeah. Well, there will be like, I want to say, Westworld series controls on them as far as. Have you seen the HBO Westworld series?
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good series. You got to watch it. You got to see the series. So there's voice control, like stop all motor skills and stuff like that, and the thing will stop or whatever. So there's voice control, and there's also physical controls. We can shut them down if we want to have them most likely sit down first before we shut them down.
So I think as you're saying that, and I'm thinking about an earlier statement you said where the models are very specific. So meaning, is it let's take the strawberry picking thing. If you train the model where it's just picking strawberries, it's going to be so robotic in its nature, in its programming, that it's just going to go for strawberries. If you would never ever see it walk towards a flower, pick it up, and try to smell it. I'm just using a weird example, but is your model so set up so rigid that as if someone bought this robot, had it, they should usually never ever see it deviate in any form, and if it does, it's just a strange. I don't know. Does that make sense?
So yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it should do the specific task at hand, and you can push other programs to it too. So, for example, if you want to just skip the strawberry picking and just use, for example, like weed picking or trimming or branch trimming or stuff like that, basically, it can do that stuff, but it's going to be like loading up a program on your smartphone. It's very similar to that, basically. So once it's in the strawberry picking mode, the AI model will be pushed to that. It'll run that program, and then when it's done or whatever, you could park it, recharge, whatever, and then run it after discharge. You can run it through like a weed picking program or whatnot, or a tilling program, or fertilizer program, basically. So it's anything we train them to do, but it's not going to be doing like like
it's not gonna fly a helicopter.
Yeah, it's not going to fly a helicopter and then pick strawberries at the same time anyway, but you can't probably use a strawberry
Goes a lot
picking.
faster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can't use a strawberry picking robot with a program to fly helicopters. Same common system, different application, different model, basically. So that's kind of the way it works.
The way you describe it, I feel like it sounds so safe in the sense that you shouldn't see it do anything else, and the models that you put in is so specific, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. There is a lot of checks and balances. Number one, having the program to cloud program and push that model on, there's going to be very proprietary, very highly controlled. It's not going to be something that you could torrent and like troll somebody's robot, make it do weird stuff in somebody's house, or something. It's nearly impossible, basically. So
that train of thought, that question actually came from I was first thinking that movie, I think it was AI with Will Smith, and then I think is it Isaac Asimov where the 3 rules.
3 laws of robotics. Yeah.
Which I was going to ask about that, but then I thought, well, that seems silly where your models are so specific. I think it would never get to the 3 questions.
That's the idea, exactly. Yeah, I think the 3 questions are very, very high level, and I think they're overly simplified, in the sense that we don't have to worry about the conditions if we are not making a robot that's designed to protect people to begin with.
Yeah.
So if you're in your strawberry field and there's a problem, you probably want to call the police instead of asking the robot, hey, do you think you can stop this snake from attacking me or something or whatever would have a problem in your strawberry field or whatever. I don't know.
Wait, but yeah, if your strawberry robot gets out of control, you're going to call the police and they're going to come in with the robot?
Well, you're not going to ask your strawberry picking. Exactly. If there's a problem in your field, maybe somebody strolled in your field that doesn't belong there.
Oh, okay.
You can't ask the robot, hey, can you protect me from this person? It's not going to work that way.
Go grab that guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's not going to work like that. Yeah. So
gotcha.
it's very specific to the task. Exactly. Yeah.
Let's take some futuristic thoughts thought experiment. How far do you think we are from AGI in the sense of it having sentient thought and be able to think by itself, or it's able to think about replicating itself or whatnot? How far do you think we are from that?
Yeah. So depending on how far we get, it would be nice if we could manufacture the robots with other robots, minus the industrial equipment. So it would be nice manufacturing with other robots. It's a good training environment, a controlled training environment. And so as far as sentient thoughts, there's an argument of consciousness, stuff like that. I feel like consciousness is such a nebulous word. It's like there's no hard definition for it. When you start talking about like spirituality and souls and stuff like that, the robot's not going to have any of that stuff. No consciousness, no spirit or soul. But we could program, give them that illusion again. So we could program to make it feel like they have human emotions, but they never will. It's just silicon math that goes across there. It doesn't care if it gets, burnt or injured or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Or chopped in half by a gigantic saw.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter.
On its head.
Exactly. It's like my end mill on my CNC. If something gets broken, sorry I broke it. I'll put another one in there. They're disposable. They're sacrificial basically. So it's okay to use it for that. So it's just like any other. It's like any other tool that wears out. Basically, that's all.
Do your robots are they gender neutral or do they identify? Are they non-binary? Are they in the gender war?
Well, they're definitely have binary in them.
They're hella binary.
There's binary in them for sure. So I'm just going for the first iteration. I'm going for sort of a gender neutral kind of a gender neutral platform, but it depends on what the customer request is. If they want a feminine, if they want a masculine, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just going some kind of there's just slight variations in female and masculine anatomy that are different. And the muscle groups are the same basically. It's not super important. Like the critical thing in the first 2 years is just getting this thing walking around, and talking is already done. It's fine. It's already taken care of. But the walking and stuff like that, getting up and sitting, standing up, and if it falls down, trips, gets up from that. That's the 2-year priority basically. So the idea, gender's not really. I mean, think about it. Why would a robot need a gender? Just for looks, I guess. If you want a pretty robot, I guess.
Yeah, because the strawberry farmer wants all female robots in the field.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yes. I guess if he wants pretty robots, he could have pretty robots. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Lipstick on a robot. But
you can put lipstick on a robot. That's right. Yep. Actually, you could have the robot do its own makeup. I guess that makes it easier. So.
I like it. That's a highlight clip right there.
Who's your ideal clientele? Like, as in, is it large companies that are revenuing $100 million that have that money to spend on it, or is small companies really out of the question?
So small companies aren't out of the question. The robots are going to be pretty affordable. If there's special uses, such as if it needs extended batteries and stuff like that, or extended life, we could put a backpack on them. But the form isn't going to change too much. It's almost like the first Model T. I think Ford said you could have it in any. You could have your Ford Model T in any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
So we're going to have one universal platform. You can add on to it whatever you want, but for the most part, the anatomy is not going to change too much. Maybe the muscles will get better over time and more refinements, but for the most part, the human body hasn't changed. And I don't plan on changing the skin underneath very much either on the robot either.
So black robots matter.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not where we're going with that? Did I fuck that up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So is your robot like an average height, or what do you envision?
We're shooting for about 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
We're not going to make a 7-foot robot at the get-go. I think people have been creeped out by that.
Because, I don't know, what do you think about Asimo? 'Cause that's the, is it Honda that's been making the Asimo robot since the 80s or something? It's a little
I've seen that robot. It's got flat feet. It won't fit in human space. I don't simulation element to it. It won't be able to do natural human motion. And once you've gone down that path, it's very limited on what you can do to it. So
Is there may I ask how much you expect the robot to cost? And we could cut this out if you don't want
Yeah, no, this is fine. I'm pretty transparent about this because I have applied for government contracts at a price with this. On average, we're probably targeting to sell these things, maybe anywhere from the 50,000 to 100,000 price point, basically. It depends on how complex the programming is going to be to train it, basically. But these are, if you think about it, that's like 2 or 3 years of wages for some people, some types of careers or whatnot. So
as long as your robot lasts 3 years, then it's worth the salary.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can get them pushing, over 5 years with the type of muscles they have, and then so we could push probably over 5 years for 15, 20 hours a day or whatnot. So. And with the charging time included, so that's what we're projecting. And by default, it should be able to walk about 5 miles at a standard pace without a recharge or anything like that too. So you should be able to go pretty far.
We'll walk to the next farm.
Dang.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah. Wow, we're gonna walk to the next charge.
To some degree of okay, let's take $100,000 to make the math a little bit simple. So you're saying that it can last for about 3 to 5, up to 5 years. And then,
I would say heavy tasks, intensive labor. It's a little short in the life, just like any other machine. They're still machines.
Okay. Yeah. So logging's going to chew it up.
Logging will chew it up, and there's probably some that aren't going to need some service and repair. Yeah, logging will tough on it.
So let's take $100,000 divided by 5. So you're looking at $20,000 a year. So that means any potential job that costs an employer $20,000 a year is replaceable by this humanoid.
Yeah, but he works 7 days a week, and he's working whenever he's not charging.
Yeah. So this is it sounds pretty huge. What this could be, the potential behind it.
Yes, you're already doing the math. That's the economic behind it. You're very correct on that. So it is something that is a price point where business can afford them, and they could work them to the ground basically without any consequences.
Oh, you know what job they could do is when there's a construction site and there's somebody holding a sign that says slow or go. I hear those people making an obscene amount of money too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's what I hear. I'm not sure.
So from a moral standpoint, I have a lot of morals for some weird reason. What can you say to make me think that you won't be helping Jeff Bezos in the long run? As in, I view Amazon. I know they're doing the legal. I know they're doing everything legally. It seems like, meaning they're abiding by the rules. But it's turned into a corporation of greed, as much of all of them big corporations in America, unfortunately. But where would you see yourself fitting in and not adding to that?
Yeah. Money's funny. It's almost like gravity. The more mass you have, more financial mass you have, more money sticks to you, basically. So, yeah. So, I personally, I have patents that protect me. They can't make the technology that I've designed without my permission or at least funding me or compensating me or something. So, I'm not much of I'm doing the podcast to basically speak out to talk about kind of a positive take on our robots, basically. But I don't really like being in the spotlight very much. I'm talking about the technology to support people that aren't scared. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't really like being in the spotlight. I'm happy with my computers in the lab playing COD and stuff like that. I don't see, I don't see myself as like a billionaire and stuff like that. But if I, for example, did make $1 billion, I feel like I just leave people alone. You know what I mean? I don't think, I still believe in free will and human spirits, I have a lot of empathy for people. Obviously, you see what I'm designing or whatnot, but I feel like there's a lot of intervention from these billionaires. It's like they kind of have to cater us in some way or another, and cancel our podcast if you say something wrong or something like that. So I don't feel like I'd be an interventionist billionaire if I ever did get there, basically. So.
Yeah, I think at Jeff Bezos' level, that amount of money, it seems like, just say if he were to take a little bit of his money and then or not take his money, but heighten the wages of his his common workers and make them a little bit happier. And then I think he would still be super ultra rich. I think I don't know.
You can't ask Steve to defend Jeff Bezos.
No, I'm not. I'm just throwing the conversation.
No. You bring up an excellent point, and I feel like it could be if for example, if I did have, I don't know what Amazon's valuation, trillion, billion, I don't know, but the thing is, it's like, I think a good economy helps everybody, and being able to still at the simultaneously fund companies that have good potential, and also work with them without like financial consequences as far as like, if there's tax incentives to make sure or help the startup community, because entrepreneurship is still just the most important thing we have in our economy. Basically, it creates jobs, it creates business, it creates revenue. I mean, I always say that peace is not the opposite of war. I believe trade is the opposite of war, basically, and I think trade and commerce is probably the most valuable thing that humans can ever have. And supporting that mentality, as far as like, okay, if he has his business and he's doing well, he creates some jobs or good jobs, and again, if those people are happy, if he's a good leader, then that's a positive thing for everybody. People get jobs, they have a good leader or whatnot, and I think something where there could be financial incentives for billionaires or trillionaires to fund or help invest startups instead of canceling ideas or shutting stuff off like that. I feel like there's a little too much of that going on right now. It's a little, gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But being, we still have the first, and I feel like that's almost gone now with these big tech companies or whatnot. So I think if there was financial incentives for billionaires to invest in companies, they can invest in what they like. But I think a good economy, good entrepreneurship, that's really the solution to I'd say about 85-90% of our problems right now. So I think startups and entrepreneurship is extremely important for everybody around the world, basically. And trade is literally the opposite of war. So
if
I never heard that before. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I agree. If I ask any trade secrets, feel free just to say so, and you don't have to answer. What programming language are you using for your humanoid?
Yeah, so I use a variety. I'm a full stack developer. I use a variety of programming. It depends on the technology, with what part. Obviously, you see a CNC back there, so there's in G code and stuff like that. But I don't see programming as separate language. I feel like it's just one language, but they just have different dialects. When I start programming different languages, it takes a little bit of brain wraparound time, but when I get into it, it doesn't matter. One language is C# is the same as C, C++, or whatever. I feel like it's just a matter of adapting to it depending on the specific application that I'm doing, basically. So, but I like C# and the C spinoffs and stuff like that. C#.
Hey, I'm into C#. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like C#. Yeah, I like C#. Yeah.
By chance,
if I were to
go ahead.
If I were to choose one language, it would probably be C# or Python. Python's not too bad either.
Python gets kind of
Python gets kind of weird. You have to use it, but it's kind of weird with the changes and the updates and stuff like that. So
I haven't programmed in Python, but the reason I was going to bring it up is I hear that a lot of machine learning stuff is being written in Python. For what I don't know the details, I just heard that for however it handles its reach to data, it's better at dealing with data. That's all I've heard. So that's with machine learning. I heard that's why a lot of things are going Python.
Yeah, I think like TensorFlow is mostly based plus, but you can control with Python or something like that. All these modern compilers and languages, I think it's still splitting errors. I mean, if you're calculating terabytes of data over days or weeks, then obviously a millisecond per loop is a lot. But for the most part, man, I feel like all these modern compilers were just splitting errors as far as compile time and languages. They're all great languages. They work really well. Minus some updates and patches that magically appear at the worst time. But yeah, Python's great. I don't like having a carriage return as a line terminator. I don't know why they ever did that. I think it should be like a semicolon or something like that, because
No, you guys are on crack. Everybody knows Java is the best language to program robots with.
Talk to the accountant.
Yeah. I didn't like how Oracle kind of commandeered Java. I still think there should be. It's just.
I'm totally talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
How much data at a given time is your humanoid? Does it have to have constant internet connection to send back to your lab or anything? So everything that you package together, that humanoid is able to get its job done with the model.
Yeah, absolutely. Once the AI model's pushed, say let's do something or do whatever, run the program. It should run autonomously. Internet connection or a Wi-Fi connection is not necessary, but because all that data that it gathers can be pushed at the end of its shift back to the cloud system. And during development, we're going to have it push real time, just so we get to analyze the cloud variation between the actual mechanical system and the real world. But for the most part, it should just run automatically. If there's variation, say, hey, I need service, I'm going to go sit down and charge, diagnose the problem, basically. So it doesn't need a perpetual connection or tether or anything like that. So.
And once again, if I ask something that's trade secrets, feel free to say. What
Absolutely.
type of ballpark of data are you talking about for that model and the AIs? Meaning, is it able to run on 10 gigabytes of data, the whole system like if you had a strawberry picker humanoid, can it fit on 10 gigs of storage space for it to handle everything?
Yeah, so I'll use the smartphone analogy. The processing power we're using is not on the edge board. It's not too different from what you have in your smartphone. The amount of data that goes back and forth between your smartphone throughout a day is probably comparable, even more than what the amount of data that's going to be pushed back and forth to this thing. I minimize the data set as much as I possibly can because I want results as quickly as possible.
No TikTok videos going across.
Yeah, no TikTok videos going across. So the initial learning, actually, I can talk about this. The initial learning. We are building a cloud-based system in the environment. It's going to be learning, and it's going to autonomously scan that environment. So once the initial environment is set and calibrated with a simulator, then we won't have as much data, basically. So, yeah.
Just a connection or kind of a tangent to it or connected. So I think with Google Translate, like I think if I'm correct, you're looking at about a 60 megabyte amount of data plus app. I think around 60 to 70 megs. I might be wrong on that, but for like English. So it's able to listen to English, translate the English, and then if you type your and if you type, like, say, in Vietnamese, it could translate the Vietnamese to English. And then I think that was maybe additional for Vietnamese was an additional 30. So you're looking at 100 megs for 2 languages. When I thought about that, I was like, holy crap, this is freaking amazing. I don't quite fully understand. I'm guessing it's got to have a dictionary in there, but that's pretty freaking amazing.
It sounds like it's pretty dialed in. I mean, to have a 60 megabyte, if it is a 60 megabyte file for English, that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, kudos to Google for developing that. I do like Google's English or speech to text recognition, though. It's probably the best I've seen out there. So, yeah.
So is your humanoid able to fit back to that? Is it 10 megs, 100 megs, is it a terabyte? Or like when you said the cell phone thing, is it because it's like down to, most cell phones are like under 16 gigs? Is that why you mentioned that? Or not?
Yeah, exactly. We don't need, the AI model is not going to be very large, and we don't plan on having them operate in an entire city. We don't need that much data for simple tasks. Most people just go to their work, which is a certain office building or a warehouse, for example, or a field or something. We don't need to have a whole city pushed to the local edge board because it doesn't care about what is going on at the airport when it's in the middle of the city.
Yeah, just work harder.
On the street.
All right, Jeff Bezos.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we don't. The edge board is comparable to what you'd have in processing power to your cell phone. It's not. We don't need to crunch that much numbers. I want to crunch the data as quickly as possible, and all I care about is certain tasks. I don't care about every task.
I think your mic might be getting far from your mouth. If you can.
Okay, is that a little better?
Oh yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, sexier.
There we go. I'll keep it close.
So the models, I mean, they're super. Is the models bigger than the program for the humanoid to move its hands and whatnot, or is it kind of together as one? I'm imagining, like, say you change the strawberry picker to a garbage truck collector person, or how much
Robot.
These are good questions. There's going to be a different neural net for each thing, for the vision system, the speech system, the motor skills, and then the global controller as far as what it's supposed to be doing, where it's supposed to be, and is everything working. So these are just separate neural nets that kind of work together in I want to say a standard loop, basically. So.
So if you hear frantic screaming as a robot, then the program should say stand still. Stop moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Stop picking those strawberries. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. So if you frankly need to stop picking strawberries, the robot will stop picking strawberries. Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your team comprised of, if you don't mind me asking? Like, is it 20 developers or?
It's all interns.
Yeah.
It's all Google interns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. So what I do, the way I plan my teams, I normally choose like an agile team, but I spearhead everything. I get as far as I can, or if it starts becoming too mundane or it's already done, the complex stuff is done, I'll onboard somebody for that specific task. So I have access to some of the best. I think one of the best world's best chatbot programmers.
Nice.
So yeah. So I love recruiting talent. I love creating jobs, and there's certain tasks that I might not have the skill set for, but I'll find recruit the talent. I'm a pretty good motivator, so when they jump on board or they're pretty motivated, do very good. So from mechatronics, I consult with CNC programmers and stuff like that. So I always try to spearhead everything first. I lead by example. I don't want to say, oh, have it solve this problem, basically, when I don't try to get intimate with a problem myself.
Explain what you go through when you're dealing with that robot in a simulation where you're trying to train it for something. What goes through your mind? What are you seeing? What data are you seeing? How do you change it?
Yeah. So the simulation is like similar to a game engine, basically. It's you're kind of auditing the task. And if, for example, if it's walking up a stair, you don't have to watch it go in real time up the stair. You can do okay. So did it fall? Number one, did it make it to the end of the stairwell or whatnot? But it's like you're watching a movie, but accelerated. You're trying to see if there's any variation or whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of like I want to say it's kind of like at the simulator. You're kind of inside its consciousness, saying, "Hey, stand up, turn left, go right," or whatever, basically. So it's kind of like you're still commanding the robot.
I have one of those in my head.
Yeah, I think we all do. Exactly. I think we all do. Exactly. It's like, for example, it was like show up on time for podcast or finish sandwich. Yeah. I chose the finish sandwich option, basically. So that part of my head was saying, have sandwich now.
That's a good choice.
It's a good choice. I feel much better now. So.
Well, so far for our listeners, I think what's crucial about the simulation too is that you can tweak things, like you can put different staircases in there, right? You can put uneven stairs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get it already. Some staircases spiral around. Some cases turn left. Some staircases have higher steps, lower steps, longer steps. So, and it'll adapt to all those environments. Basically, we shouldn't have to build every variation of every potential step in the real world. We can just train it, not wood or concrete or whatever, to make those training programs happen. We can validate it after it's done, but we shouldn't have to build everything in the real world in order to train it. That's obsolete training now.
Yeah.
What were some fun or challenging ones that you did in
the
that?
Escalator going down and it was trying to go up?
The escalator. Yeah. So yes. All I'm concerned in the first 2 years is to be able to get around and scan the environment, learn the environment. That's all I care about. We're very close. Again, it's a chicken and egg problem. You have to build the model to train the model. You can't train the model unless you have the model. So the models, digitally, it's already there. We're already done. It's just a matter of banging out these parts and working on my machining skills, basically. So
how would you say that strawberry picking one? a scenario, are you taking like pictures of a strawberry field and then put that in the simulation for it to walk through? And then would you also do something like, say, a strawberry row is probably fairly uniform, and then would you do something like take a mound of dirt out and see how it deals with all of a sudden a big dip in the walking space, if that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. I mean, when you look at the Call of Duty, the game engine, right? It looks real.
Mm-hmm.
So we use game engine technology and put the strawberry in there and train the vision to see if it's ripe or if it's not ripe, or if it's big enough or small enough, and then we probably have a dirt environment, for example, a muddy environment, depending on the season. It could be wet, it could be dry, and have it learn how to move in those types of environments: sand, dirt, mud, whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then you'd apply those changes, those randomizations of Earth inside of the actual simulator too. So it's just going to adapt, and again, the motor neural net is still different than the computer vision or the vision neural net or whatnot. So yeah, that's approached.
For someone that I'm going a little bit on a tangent, for someone that is, whether they're in college, done college, or before college, that wants to get in your field, what would you suggest? What advice would you give them?
C++.
Build video game. Build video game. Build video games.
Texas Hold'em AI.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. And I say build video game.
Yeah.
Simulation is the future. It's the current in training anything that's autonomous. Basically, build video games. It's fun. You learn how to program. You could check everything. It's fun making games too. It's not like an accounting application, I should say.
Nothing destroys your soul like a spreadsheet.
Yes, that's what exactly. That's right. Yeah. But you're still learning how to program with a video game engine. So get into game engines. Remote control airplanes, remote control cars. So yeah, those things.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Anything that is remote control. Arduino, stuff like that. You add all those things, you just got a recipe for an outstanding robotics developer.
Have you ever thought about building two humanoids to let them fight each other and record it?
Probably. We're probably going to eventually do that. we could compare different styles of martial arts and see which one's superior without anybody getting hurt.
I think there was a TV show of that.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that would definitely exactly. I think that would be something very fun to watch. So.
But I guess the scary thing with the humanoid, I don't know if you could build. Would it be a model if it could learn how to fight better, or is that more your side of the job to train it? Meaning, so you're gonna have two robots fight. After you review the data, you might be able to tell the model how to perform better, or does it already have logic to change itself to react better, fight better next time? See the slippery slope?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's right. Yeah, so
if you give it nunchucks.
Yeah, exactly, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, if you give one nunchucks, the other one will grab a spear or something, right? Exactly. Yeah. I see what you're going with that. That's interesting. I haven't really honestly thought about training robots to fight each other. But
he's trying to replace mundane work, not gladiatorial sports.
Robot gladiators.
The 1990s American Gladiator would do a lot better with these humanoids.
Yeah. It would be an interesting challenge to see who could train the best fighting robot, though. It would be a great spectacle.
Great entertainment, yeah.
Great entertainment.
Great entertainment, exactly. Yep,
As all three of us seem to be understanding the slippery slope of it, but yeah, it does
sound
super entertaining.
It does sound very, very entertaining. Yep.
What side projects does your company have any side projects that's like related to humanoids?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I have an autonomous driving pad that where we project the autonomous driving sensors onto the augmented reality display, which is in front of you. So instead of you just being able to see, like snow, rain, or the cars in dark or lit stuff, the display will be lit up for GPS and also how close it is and whether it's something that damaged a car or a person or something. So you should be able to see fine in the dark severe snow, severe rain, other cars. You should be able to see everything that the sensors see projected onto the display.
Oh.
Is that so? By chance, did that come about because as you're building the humanoid, it already has quite a few features and having to look for that stuff? So you laterally.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we already have. I mean, for example, Tesla already has sensors that are sensing the environment. But if the human could see also what the sensors are seeing, it's going to make this. It'll give the human super driving capabilities because you almost won't even need the headlights because you'll be able to see everything. And not only that, you don't have to look down at your navigator when it's projected onto the display in front of you on the road, basically. So,
well, I was going to say, how do you stop people from looking at their Instagram while they're driving?
Yeah, You probably Instagram should be blocked on the firewall port of the Wi-Fi hotspot, especially TikTok. There should be no TikTok allowed on a router on an autonomous driving car. So, certain ports, I'm an advocate for blocking. So.
I imagine you're for it, but I'll just ask anyways in case you might surprise me or whatever. What's your thought on self-driving cars? Where do you like if Tesla? I think recently they did full self-driving beta in certain states. I thought. What's your thoughts on that? And
do you follow that world, or is that a different world than what you're doing?
I follow it loosely because I do have an autonomous driving patent. I think if you're already using the autonomous driving sensors, why not give the driver the ability to audit those instead of just having a little GUI on the screen that just shows cars floating by you. Let's just project those sensors onto the display and see what the autonomous driving can do with human auditing when the human can see the same thing that the autonomous driving sensors already have. So
yeah,
but yeah, that's my opinion, and I filed a patent regarding that technology. So.
But you're asking, are we close to self-driving cars? Is that what you're asking?
Actually, I was asking his thoughts on its not quite morality. Like if it's going to cause less,
as long as it's not intentionally killing people.
there are certain people certain people that are fearful of self-driving cars. So
yeah, and I don't know what Tesla's doing, but I feel like in the video game industry they call it the occlusion culling, where it just doesn't load up the whole world. It only loads up the world where the player can occupy. I don't know if Tesla's doing something like that, but it seems like all the neural nets that are built for a certain region should just transfer to that car, or like every driver should have their own neural net for their driving behaviors and where they go. I don't feel like we need to build an entire I don't know what Tesla's doing. I'm not really sure. I'm sure it's super proprietary, and I'll never know what they're doing. I'll never have access. But the thing is like I think every car needs to have its own neural net, and in the first year or two, you're still training it basically.
Oh.
So you're saying something like, I live in Vegas. There should be a general map for Vegas that every car could download, and then they'd all input data to the same neural net, and then basically
there'll be a generic one that you start with for the Vegas area. There's a lot of traffic there. You get a lot of data, and then for your own driving habits, it'll compensate and adapt for your areas and know those areas really well. For example, if people are merging really quickly in a certain area, it'll say, okay, let's slow down, let's watch this thing, basically. But I think the neural net, there should be a 1-to-1 ratio between cars, the driver, and the neural net, basically.
1 okay, 1-to-1. So meaning, yeah, got it. I'm catching up to what you're saying. I understand now.
Don't use these big numbers around us, bro.
Yeah. I think what it comes down is customized AI. I mean, if you have a regular schedule, there's no reason why the model should be pushed to somebody else's car who's not driving the same areas. You know what I mean? And so I think it's just a little spot on the server that's allocated for the neural net, and then that model just gets pushed and trained back and forth depending on your regular schedule. If you're driving far or driving close or whatever, and it should be mindful or conscious of the stuff that can happen, whether detours, accidents, or bad weather, slippery roads or whatnot. Should be pretty conscious of those things. So. For
the driving, that driving project that you said that your company is doing, what is it called? We call it VizAd. So it's just a way of. It's basically a fancy way of saying, hey, you know what? We see the sensors, or the human sees what the sensors are seeing, which could be infrared, it could be
thermal or whatever, a combination of an RGB or just regular RGB camera, and it combines those along with in the visual spectrum for the human, so he can see what's going on the vehicle, far away, close up, and those sensors will kind of not only tell the driver what the sensors see, but also it tells the car where to.
Is there I'm guessing the way I'm understanding, is there another focus I'm going to ask afterwards? But it sounds like, so you want to maybe market that to just almost every car maker and just have that built in. That could be, it sounds like it could be built into any car, even if you're driving your own non-smart car, then
we could make it so you retrofit the car with any car with that sort of a navigation technology, basically, primarily around navigation and augmented reality, and then the autonomy is already there because, well, actually it'd be hard. Actually, the autonomy would be hard, but just the display itself, the display where you can see what's going on, along with the GPS overlaid on the screen, that can be retrofitted on any car. But when you start talking about controlling the throttle and brake and steering column, that's a whole different story. That's more of like a manufacturer-specific version of the technology.
Mm-hmm. What do you think VizAd, am I saying that correct, VizAd?
Yeah, VizAd, yeah.
What's the primary target audience or market product?
People who don't like to crash.
Well, I think
that's a good summary. Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep that as the VizAd logo or the slogan for people who don't like to crash. I like that. That's a good slogan. I like that.
I was asking in that form because I was imagining there's probably certain hurdles on certain avenues. Meaning, like if you were to approach Ford, maybe Ford would say, well, our Ford Raptors are built this way to get that integrated would be too much of a hassle. Or maybe you're going for government maybe add that to buses, that buses would be a better solution.
Our first prototype is going to be for the Humvee, specifically for the Humvee, because the Humvees are going to be in service until 2050, and we don't want to be, we can't control other automotive
life cycles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's the Humvee, all the way up until 2050. So our first prototype is going to be on a Humvee.
Nice.
Is that for military reasons or?
Well, government money is pretty lucrative if you could close a contract, but I think the fact that they're in service for 2050 makes it a perfect candidate, along with the flat windows.
Because when you first said it, I was thinking, I don't think I see a lot of commoners. I mean, it's a fairly expensive car, right?
Humvees? No, he's talking about the military Humvee. The U.S. government is planning to keep them around.
Oh, till
2050.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, okay. That's right. Yeah. The military, the Humvee, not the Hummer. I think the civilian version they call it the Hummer, but this is the military Humvee. Yeah, you can get a surplus one for 15,000, 20,000, something like that. So.
Yeah, FYI, Steve, the brand new Lamborghini Countach also has a very flat windshield.
Okay, all right.
It's great for projecting.
We might need, we'll get that one. You want to test it when we have it in the shop here?
I'm really good at driving Lamborghinis. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Emmett, you got two problems there. You need the Lambo, then you need Steve to build that prototype.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll invite you to the shop. You can drive test for us. Okay?
I'm just saying it's hard to find vehicles with flat windshields. That's all.
I'm just letting you know if you have one half the equation, it might help.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
I'm just a helpful guy.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering. Sounds like a terrible job, but somebody has to do it, right?
Well, I want to help the robots to help other people get out of terrible jobs. That's
right. Yeah, and the Lamborghini driving is probably a huge part of that, right?
At this point, with so much. Oh, actually, I don't even know. I was going to say with so much programming towards humanoids, because I feel like there's so many. I know Elon Musk just mentioned that they want to do the humanoid, but I'm at Boston Dynamics. Even though you said they're quite a bit different, that it has no limbs or no hands, but I think
that dog has a claw head thing.
I think that has.
No, it's got a chopper.
It's like a Muppet.
Like a Muppet. That's right. Yep.
What are those? Those like $75,000 for those yellow dog.
I think so.
Things? Yeah.
I imagine the programming or the sensors are so similar. Meaning, so you got maybe either a LiDAR, radar type of thing. The thermal you said earlier, RGB. Is that something that each company is able to kind of, I don't think they would want to share, but is there open source things online? I don't. Are you having?
Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm a huge advocate. There's the academic programming, and then there's the commercial programming, and people don't talk about this when you're going through computer science school. In computer science school, you harness and mine the rubber in the tire. Then you build the factory to make the tire, and then you eventually, after 6 months or 2 years later, you have a tire that rolls around and works. Commercial development, grab the tire, it already works. You don't need to build it yourself.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This happens in commercial programming, all the time. It's just take what's out there if it's available and you're allowed to take it. Use the tools that are readily available. If you're going to be digging a ditch in construction, you probably don't want to use the shovel. You probably want to use the backhoe. So use the backhoe. Build as fast as you can to beeline it to that prototype. So yeah, I'm using all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I've theorized for a little while now, probably about, I think, 2 or 3 years, that if I were to have time and money to try to build my own AGI, I would try to, the main thing I would try to import from other sources, because I don't want to reprogram it, is vision, audio, being able for it to hear and translate into text or something that it can understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the best approach.
Because you don't want to reinvent the tire every time.
No, you don't. You look at this. We have Lego blocks that are very mature today. We have these Lego blocks. Why do you need to go to the what do you call it, the thing that compresses them? Why do you need to get to the plastic and the injection molding machine when you already have a Lego block that's ready to roll? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say this to everybody who's making commercial products. There's some, I want to say, dogma in academic programming, which is understandable. It's kind of a rite of passage, right? But when you have investors and you're trying to hit milestones, just use what's out there. Just use whatever's best. Use anything you want. You have to be a MacGyver more than a Newton, I should say.
Well, so how long until I can buy one of your robots for $100,000 and then have that robot build Lamborghini Countachs for me?
Well, I'm going to file a quick patent on robot use. Yeah, okay, so build patent Lamborghini Countach building robots. That's actually a pretty good idea. I'm taking some notes here. You've got 2 really good ones so far. So. But I mean, we're going to see this thing walking in 2 years. We're on that straight path. We're going to 2 years. We should have something standing up, walking, sitting, and also talking too. And then after that, we'll work on the other applications, whatever the market demands are, versus such as factory work or agriculture.
Burger flipping.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Burger flipping's potential use.
I would really enjoy if my fast food restaurants just turned into giant vending machines where I pull up an order and then it doesn't fuck up the order.
Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly, right?
Because it doesn't care.
On the burger flipping robots, that becomes more of a show than an eating experience. You're like sitting there watching these robots make some burgers,
Yeah.
quickly. So
they had a show. Yeah, they had a bartending robot on the Strip. I don't know if it's back or not yet, but at Planet Hollywood in Vegas, pre-COVID, they had a bartending robot.
I think I've seen that robot. Yeah, the bartending robot. Yeah, it was as much of a show as was.
Yeah, from what I understand, it wasn't saving anybody any time or money. It was just fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. But again, I don't know if they're using the simulation aspect to that, basically, but they have the simulator. It should be able to make them faster than people, technically, if it had the right simulation element, basically.
Yeah, what I heard from people that worked with it, it was a high maintenance thing, and it required like a full-time guy to keep it running. Anyway, so
but rather just hire the bartender. Rather just hire the bartender than have the bartender babysit a robot. Then, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on the if a couple years ago, if I could get a vision sensory software with hardware and audible, something that could listen and translate to language for it, then I would program something that would ultimately just every time it does something, it's going to try to record a yes, no, good or bad. That's it. Everything. And then as it reapplies that to its model afterwards, so it's able to adjust on the fly. That was kind of my theory. I think there's probably so much more to that. I'm saying it as if it's so casual to build that, but from your perspective, your knowledge, does that seem like something that's possible that could actually turn into AGI, or am I way far off?
No, I think something like again, I consider AGI something that's capable of human level tasks, and a lot of these human level tasks are within a certain IQ spectrum, and as long as it manipulates the world, and it can recognize what it needs to manipulate, and as long as it learns those physics, as long as it does the tasks you need, it kind of learns by itself where things are as far as its place in space and what it needs to manipulate. I still consider that an AGI, even if it's a little hand robot that moves around and feels stuff and says, "So this weighs 2 ounces. This is where this is flat. This is how to pick it up. This is how to move it." I still consider that an AGI. So
I'm imagining a hand like the It family where it's just pulling.
And that's what I was thinking. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking that they had a hand also. Yeah.
Who needs legs
Yeah.
if it could just pull itself around?
Exactly. That's right. Yep. That was a classic character.
Creepy.
Yep. The Addams family, right?
Yes. So is
Yes.
so is the leap we're making here, because we already have robots in factories that are like arms that do some repetitive task, but I think the difference is that it's literally exactly the same task 1,000 times, right?
Absolutely. That's correct. Yeah.
So is the leap here that you want a robot that can do the same task with any variation? If there's a dead raccoon on the floor, it can handle that problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, some of the industrial grade robots are still going to be able to perform better than a humanoid. Some of the industrial grade robots will always outperform a humanoid. The high speed manufacturing will probably not change too much. But when you're talking about a universally programmable robot that has universal applications, the humanoids are going to fill in a lot of gaps that one robot can't do, and that can, I want to say, help people not get hurt or communicate with people or whatever. So yeah, this is for that not heavy high speed factory. Basically, this is for something to fill in all those gaps where people can't get hurt or they can't get injured or fatigued or whatever. So this is to fill in those gaps.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Do you feel that regulations or government or anything that holds back your innovation?
Yeah. We'll make this point. I made this point before on previous podcasts. I think our SBIR system, or our Small Business Innovation Research Grant system that we use here, is a huge weakness in our contracting in U.S. government. Basically, I keep on seeing the best technologies not make it to market or helped by which have potentially huge commercial applicability, and I don't see this changing anytime soon. So I think that's a really important thing that government does need to work on. But I almost forgot the original question. Go ahead and go back to what you're saying.
Is there anything that's holding innovation back for maybe your company or your field?
It's funding and finding VCs that are not willing to place a bet on the horse that's about to cross the finish line. Yeah. There's a huge. Well, let's say traditional venture capital. I'll use harsh language here. Is totally fucked up. Traditional venture capital is totally fucked up. There's a lot of great entrepreneurs out there that will not get funded or give up trying to fund their innovations. And again, as you're talking about how much of a tax it is on having, I want to say the gravitational effect of money. If we could somehow tax benefit that money to the people that have the money and give it to innovative entrepreneurs that do have reasonable business plans and good work ethic, then I think that would help the American economy significantly.
Is it more those rich people don't trust that technology, or they want some, or is it like some developer has a great idea and they're like 90% done, and then this investor comes in and says, no, I want 99% rights on that, and I'll give you 1% or something? Or where's I guess the biggest challenge in that?
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest lesson that entrepreneurs really need to learn is how to value their company. There's all these books. I've read several textbooks on it. I've ran software. What it comes down to is how much cash flow can you get over your patent lifetime. If there's a patent, there should be a patent. If you don't have a patent, you probably don't stand a chance, basically. So, how much cash flow can you get over the next 20 years minus research and development, the manufacturing, or whatever? That's all. That's all a patent valuation comes down to, and your valuation from how much money you can make if you have the right investment. So you have to ask the VC. This is how many shares you get for whatever valuation. That's it. Don't let them take advantage of you. If you know how to value your company, you know where you stand, and you will never be taken advantage of if you know how to value your company.
As say a developer that's gone, I guess I'm trying to think of a scenario. They're in a position where they don't have that patent yet and they're talking to a potential investor. So you're saying if they don't have the patent, they shouldn't even be talking to the investor?
No, if you're going to make a software program, for example, that does, I don't know, picks up Pepsi Cola, if you're going to make that, what's going to stop Bezos or Gates or Musk or these other billionaires from making something better and faster than you and marketing it better? You don't stand a chance. Patent is the only equalizer for small businesses to have a fair chance at getting the fruits of their labor. Basically, patents are our best chance at being successful and not having a large company take or commandeer or outdo your innovation. Basically, there's a reason why the patent system is here, and I completely support it. I think it's probably one of the most important things in the world as far as entrepreneurship and innovation. Patents are extremely important.
What type of price ballpark is there a range for patents? Can you get one cheap at like 5,000, or is it usually 10,
Yeah. So I have a great patent attorney. My initial provisional patent was, there's a provisional and non-provisional. Provisional saying, hey, you know what, I just figured something out. I don't want anybody to take it. You have about 2 years to file that, or you have 2 years to keep that before you file a non-provisional. The non-provisional is usually a little more expensive because there has to be a lot of research. Like, you'd be surprised how many things are already patented that you think are not out there. So there's some patents that are not expired. You have to do that research. The attorney handles that stuff. If you have a really good attorney, they can do it with a certain price depending on the complexity of it. Again, that's a legal question as far as you have to find a good patent attorney that works within your budget, basically. So.
Yeah, I think about 20 years ago, I thought I had invented the inflatable hot tub, and I went and did a quick patent search, and I think Bridgestone beat me by about 20 years. And then the year that patent expired, you'd see a bunch of inflatable hot tubs in the Sky Mall the Mac catalog.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I was like, I missed the whole boat on that one.
Yeah.
Great idea.
That does sound like a fun idea. Inflatable hot tub. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Oh, you can find them on Amazon now.
You can find everything on Amazon.
Yeah, several different brands. I think the Coleman coolers, they make an inflatable hot tub.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. If you need one.
I wouldn't mind having one here in my shop. That'd be pretty awesome.
With the CNC machine behind you, also, are you doing 3D printed stuff too?
Yeah. So there's some parts that'll be 3D printed, some materials, not everything.
How deep are you personally with 3D printers? Do you think like there's a huge future for it?
It'll never go past hobbyist stuff. I mean, there's some niche parts that you'll pay an extraordinary amount to get, but when you're talking about volumes of stuff, thousands, hundreds of parts, the additive manufacturer, it will never go past hobbyist level. It's too slow.
I might be wrong. I thought someone was making car rims with 3D printing with titanium, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff you can do, but then there's stuff that makes sense cost-wise or
at a big scale
or structurally or volume. When you bring in those considerations, it seems like 3D printing doesn't make sense for a lot of stuff.
It doesn't for gear parts that you only need a couple of. It's fine. You could add more 3D printers, but when you talk about reducing or cutting material with the CNC versus adding material with whatever injection stuff, whether it's filament or even some metals, it's never going to catch up to as fast as you cut stuff on a CNC. No way, never.
The with the 3D modeling. So when you're building, do you have to build a full like? Is it the game engine? You build an environment, and that's simply it. Like Call of Duty, you're having your humanoid walk in that exact world. Is that literally it? Do you have to rebuild? So you have to build that, or can you take photos to have it build that environment for it?
So what are you talking about? Vision training or the navigation or the what are you specifically talking about?
The simulation. So where that humanoid will train.
Yes,
when
exactly.
you have a simulated world, are you scanning one or are you building one from scratch?
Yeah. So let's go back to the strawberry analogy. A strawberry may look a little different under the shade. It may look a little different under direct sunlight. It may look different in a cloudy environment. It may look different wet, or it may look different hidden beneath a leaf. We train all those factors, all those variations at that, so that the computer vision can do that. So the lighting, the position, the potential position. It's not going to look for strawberries that are in the dirt. So it's going to look for strawberries that should be around a plant or something like that. So
must be close to the plant.
Sense.
Yeah,
exactly. That's right. Yeah. So we factor all those in the simulator, and getting that data set in real time in a real environment. It's just the wrong approach. Way too slow. You're going to wait all day for the sun to set. You know what I mean? It's just, you do that instantly in an accelerated environment on simulator. So all perspectives, all variations are all going to be trained inside a simulator and then validated in the world.
But the original world that you have it interacting in, how did you create the original world? Did you program it from scratch, or did you go scan a field and import that world for the robot to dance around in?
So, for example, I mean, I could pick a strawberry and photograph that, different perspectives of lighting, but you can also download a 3D model online of a strawberry and then artificially manipulate the lighting, color conditions. You know, maybe there's smoke in the sky, the sun's a little more red. So we factor in all conditions that are probable with the strawberry. Just run the simulation, and then a model comes up. This is what a strawberry looks like in all these conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're it's almost.
But you're not putting in dead raccoons.
No dead raccoons, but there could be dead raccoon street cleanup possibly. Yeah. That is the potential use of the robot.
How did you get involved on robotics? Like, maybe just walk me through your the past of how you started and got into all this, and what your passion is with it, behind it all.
Yeah. So my father got into the programming stuff like that when I was about 6 years old. He had an admiration around 1984 with all the tech push that was happening in Silicon Valley, all the IBM, Microsoft, Apple, all the Silicon innovation that was going on in Silicon Valley. And so he was blind, so he wasn't able to read computer program books that were printed. So what happened was the recording for blind and dyslexic normally provide audio books or braille for visually handicapped people. He couldn't get those in time, so he would purchase them. Then I was 6 years old, so I'd read the programming books to him.
Yeah.
As a child, I keep saying I didn't want to program at 6 years old. I just wanted to help my dad, basically, because he's so passionate about it. So I helped my dad out, and then I just got to the point where it's like, you know what, I kind of get computers. Perfectly logical. They do exactly what you tell them, basically. So, and then that's kind of I feel like computers with me are one. Basically, I feel like I'm always part of a computer, basically, and I can see what they're capable of, what they aren't capable of. So I started programming really young, and I also got into like remote control airplanes and remote control cars. Growing up, I built them like crazy when I was younger, and that passion of building is still inside of me today, basically. So that's kind of the foundation. And of course, I studied academically science and game development and stuff like that. And then after that, I went into the game industry. So that's where I realized, I was like, wait a second, why are we training robots inside of the real world when we can put them inside a simulator, accelerate the clock, and get results instantaneously? So it's like, aha, okay, now we can make really complex stuff. What's the first most complex thing I make? Let's make a humanoid.
Was there any point where you were doing this as a side project at home, meaning you're working your day job and then you went home and started building some of the stuff?
all my chips are on the table on this. I'm all in. This is all I do, basically.
This is all he does.
Yeah, exactly. There may be times where I have to contract or take some additional work or whatnot. Hopefully, I'm past those days. But
as in like maybe 15 years ago, was there a point where you were working a day job and then you had this idea, or did you go all in at one point? There was
so what the I want to say the genesis of the Seraphim robot was probably 2015, where I entered a NASA DARPA hackathon to control something called a Sphero, basically. And what I realized was I was just trying to have this thing float. It's just a little ball. It's like an Alexa for astronauts that floats around the space station. It has propulsion with like CO2, I think. So it goes, it kind of floats around and you can talk to it or whatever. I guess I've never really seen it. I've only seen pictures. And
it's a stalker spear for the space station.
Pretty much. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. But exactly. So we're programming logic for that Sphero, I think is what it's called, and I was like, why is this taking so long? So I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to just a time set. Boom, instant results. I was like, what have I been doing? Let's just accelerate this whole environment and see if my logic is working. And I was like, you know what? This should apply to everything as far as real world manipulation, basically. So that's what it came down to. Yes, exactly. Yeah, get your results faster. Why do you need to wait for real time when you can just hit that accelerate button? Let's get instant results. Play instant results. Did it work? Did it not work? Let's figure out what went wrong.
Did you happen to place first in that NASA DARPA thing, that competition hackathon?
I managed to get completely ignored 100%. So
his spear didn't kill any astronauts.
yeah, it didn't kill any astronauts, but I didn't even get mentioned. They didn't know I existed, basically. But it gave me a really good idea.
Oh yeah, the genesis of your next massive project.
Yeah,
that's correct. Exactly. Yep.
I think actually that's really interesting. The story of your dad being blind and wanting to program. Is that actually feasible? Because I'm not blind, so I don't think about how difficult that must be.
So even in 1984, they had something called a Votrax, which was literally reading the text on the screen.
Yeah.
To what's on the screen, and not only that, but he had the keyboard memorized. He's 87 years old. He still can type faster than me. I never learned how to type properly. I still peck like this. Believe it or not, so.
Yes, that's awesome.
But I hear it's better because I hear you get carpal tunnels if you're there too long, basically. So it's better for pecking. But yeah, so he had the keyboard memorized. When he would hit like A, it would say A, and then he would type out words and then program, basically. So, but yeah, even in 1984 they had text to speech, basically.
Yeah. And is he still interested in that sort of stuff? He's still.
Yeah, he's very interested. He's having a lot of fun seeing what I'm doing, basically. Well, knowing what I'm doing, I should be seeing what I'm doing, but he can feel parts and stuff like that. He knows what I'm up to. He's super supportive of. He's been a great dad, basically, and he's been so supportive of what I'm doing. I can't.
That's fantastic.
I can't thank him enough. Basically, he's been a great dad. So,
what was the very first program you created as a child? I'm guessing.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a really good question. It was okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think Amiga Basic was the first language. Well, everybody goes through a Hello World thing, right? The Hello World programming test was probably Hello. Yeah, Amiga Basic. We did it wrong. We started with really big, interesting programs, and then they never worked. But there was actually. What was the first program? That's a really good question.
I'll buy you some time. I'll tell you what. If I remember my first thing, I used JavaScript. So there was a text-based game called Earth 2025. It was text-based. So you in the game you get like a country, you get an amount of money, food for your citizens, and it just tells you how much your population and how much army, tanks, jets. I forget what else. I think there's four military items, and then so. The groups of people that would play this, we would get in alliances, and if you're a part of an alliance, you want to build a separate website to log in and share your guys' information. Like, hey, I'm country number 15786, and your country this number, and let's not attack each other. And we might have spies. We might have someone that goes to another alliance and says, hey, I'm I'm this country and I'm for you guys, blah, blah. So I created a JavaScript. It was terrible because if someone knew how to read JavaScript, it was static password in there. So I had a page that said, okay, everyone, the password is Liem Lee. And then Yep. So only certain people knew to get in, so we were able to share data that way. So that.
I see. Gotcha.
Wait, so you programmed something to whoop ass on this game? Or what did your program do?
That web page. Oh no, that web page just allows us to coordinate our attack later. So if we have 20 members and we know this other person, we have a spy in there, and they have 10 countries, and they start some shit with us. It's time to coordinate our attack and take out.
So it's like Discord.
Yeah, I guess you could say it was Discord, but it was really, really, really simple.
Gotcha.
Way more simple.
Yeah, it was game related for me too. I think there was something called on the Me. It was called RPG Maker or something. And I think that was one of the first one. Yeah, so there was still like rudimentary game development kits back then. It was just simple. You move a character on the screen, you arrow key, they move around basically. So it was just stuff like that. But it was still, I remember still having more fun playing video games than programming. So, yeah, video games were big for me even when I first got the computer, basically, the Sega Master System.
Yeah.
I can tell everybody listening that in the early 90s, I was in a programming class in high school, and they had Carol the Robot where you'd solve this maze, and I destroyed Carol the Robot with 7 lines of code. The previous record was like 13 lines.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was how few lines of code could you get the robot to
go through the maze?
Go through the maze and pick up the buttons or whatever the task was.
Nice. So you're there.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then that poor programming teacher was just disappointed the whole rest of the semester that I didn't give a shit about programming. Because he thought I had such potential, but he was baffled as to why I didn't care. I was too busy chasing girls and playing basketball. And not succeeding at either.
That's funny.
Sorry, Mr. Shannon.
You were going to say something, Steve?
Yeah. So the first program, that's a really good question. It was game related, but I just remember the first year of helping my dad with just nothing would compile, debug this, debug that. But I thought, for that was still that first that initial I guess you could say chasing women and playing basketball and failing. I went through that phase as far as the programming too, and I think that's it's a learning process basically. So, but it was still. My emphasis was still on games, even at that age, basically. So,
yeah. Nowadays, I've actually seen some kind of the RPG Maker. There's newer versions, much newer versions.
Yeah.
This is some. Go ahead.
Yeah, this one was on the Amiga, and it was simple, but you could still program it with different response stuff like that, and that was pretty fun doing that because some that would have some pre-generated stuff like music and stuff like that, which it's always made it more fun.
Yeah. I seen some on the Steam engine where they sell the games and whatnot. Where it looks like they're using one of the newer versions of the RPG Maker, whatever the names of them are. But you could purchase. It's kind of how would I explain it? I think some of these people are using say the Unreal Engine, and then they build an RPG Maker, and then they're selling their version, their custom RPG Maker. So say they sell it for $40, so you could buy it for $40 and make a custom game. But when I look at these games on Steam, I could tell which ones I think are those made from that.
Yes, yep.
Some of these people are making, it looks like a lot of money. They're selling a lot of product, and it almost makes me wonder, dang, I should try to do that and see if I can make some money. But I think it's there's a little bit I think there's a lot of luck in there because you got to make the game, and even though when I think some of these games look shitty, they still sell somehow. I don't understand what
it's kind of like the VCRs and the B movies of the 80s and 90s where they just, there's these filmmakers that just make these crappy low budget movies, but for some reason people still buy them. and they're very successful movie makers basically. So I guess you could kind of call that the B video game industry, which they make money. They make money. So So
just got to have a bazooka involved. People will buy it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, these tools, these legitimate tools for making stuff, is a legitimate way of making payments. So most people don't care; they just play a fun video game.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna walk us into the final question section.
Video game music.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, the retro.
About 6 questions and maybe about 30 minutes, maybe a little less. But first question.
Gotcha.
What great daily habits do you have?
What great daily habit? I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun, so I spend a lot of work, but it's kind of at the compromise of health. So I'm sitting here drinking like rock stars and soda and stuff like that. But my great habit is, I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't have it any other way. There's compromises, especially sitting at a desk for a long time. But
yeah,
I love what I'm doing. Yeah, and I'm making great strides. So I have good grit, is what you're talking about. So I might not have been always
every day.
yeah, like you said, you can't calculate grit, and I have a lot of grit, so but it's fun, and it's focused, and yeah, it's a great habit. Is just I have a pretty good work routine.
Would you say there's something that gave you that opportunity, meaning to be able to focus this 100% of the time? That probably means you did better in a certain career or some investments or something to lead you to that. What was a catalyst to that?
Oh gosh, I think it started with a patent originally, and I learned how to raise capital, and then connections. I've had some really solid connections that are very encouraging. A great business mentor. So yeah, if you have good mentors and you're surrounded by good people, you can't trade that for the world, basically. So if you have good connections, you have good people, and they believe you. You have good relationships, so they believe in you, which they super supportive. They all believe in me, obviously.
Yeah.
You can make anything you want as long as you work hard at it, basically, and you like what you're doing. You're sincerely, genuinely, not only financially invested but personally invested in believing in what you're doing. So it just feels right in your heart, basically. So
you should also start programming when you're 6. That's how you start.
Actually, my next question was going to be a little bit easier or not easy, kind of in that same realm, but not quite. I was going to ask what led you into robotics, where you feel like where you're able to succeed now. Meaning, was it around 25? You're already doing programming, and then you made did you go from programming maybe websites to robotics? Was there a moment?
Around 2013, somebody said, "Oh, you work in technology," and he said, "Do you have any patents?" And then I did this, literally mentally, like, "Oh my gosh, what have I been doing? Why don't I have any patents?" And then it is such a powerful thing that almost anybody can leverage in entrepreneurship. And I know if you're going to start with something, always start with a patent. Start with a patent. Start with a patent. Basically, that's when I said, okay, this is going to give me some, leverage over, getting acquired or getting a product that's going to do better than a large company can push out there, basically. So, yeah, that was the biggest thing that really changed my entrepreneurial spirit, was patents, because I know I'm protected legally, basically. That's huge.
When at 2013 you were already, you said the DARPA thing was 2016?
So I think it was either 2014 or 2013. Somebody asked me what patents I have, but then the DARPA thing was maybe 2013 or 2015 was when I filed my provisional. I don't have the exact timeline. 2015 was the provisional, but I'm sorry, 2015 was a provisional patent. 2018 it was granted. It usually takes a couple of years to get a patent grant, but around 2013 or 2014, somebody asked me if I have any patents, and there's NASA DARPA hackathon. It's like, this is the first thing I'm going to patent. Bam. So,
nice.
Yeah, patents are super powerful. All the entrepreneurs out there, try to take advantage of our patent system. It works. It's the best equalizer against, like big players or whatnot. So,
was what you were working on 2013 versus what you filed for the patent on 2015, were they substantially different or very much the same?
I worked in the game industry for about 12 years, and I kind of got jaded a bit from the game industry due to, I want to say, it was around the Flappy Birds generation. A lot of yeah. So that app, made probably hundreds of millions. Any game developer could make that in a couple hours.
Yeah.
So, but what happened was, I suspect a lot of people believe that download was artificially botted by a bot download farm. So, for example, if your budget is 10,000 for the game, spend 200 of it making it, and then spend the other 9,800 on bot farming, clickbait, click farms, and you'll get on the top of the ranks. Very dirty, very dirty. Yeah. So not only that, but there's a lot of piracy. So people are still playing my games now. I had a lot of good games, and they hack them and steal the games, but they don't disable the analytics, so I can see them playing my games.
It's funny.
Another facepalm thing. So it's like, you know what? I need to make something that has hardware that actually costs money to copy, basically. So.
Wow.
Did you work on any games that people would recognize?
Yeah. So if you look some of my games up, the biggest one when I was at Electronic Arts was a Simpsons game for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Wii. Basically, that's the first corporate video game I was credited for. I was doing like at the time, it was just quality assurance and some build testing and stuff like that. It's kind of an intro to the game industry. And then after that, I said, let's go ahead and run this iOS business. So my first initial games, the first one I released was called Armored Tank Assault, and it was a pretty fun tank shooter. It's the first 3D tank game that was out there, and we got featured. It was my first game. We got featured in the iOS App Store. So we're pretty bullish about that, basically. So we created a few more games like Pachinko Sabotage.
Chico Sabotage?
Pachinko Sabotage, basically. I had this little obsession with Pachinko. I thought it was really cool, but I wanted to
I'm starting to think you're a Japanese dude because the entire island nation of Japan loves Pachinko, and they also love robots.
Yes. Yeah. I have spent time in Japan. I'm actually half Filipino, basically, but I have spent time in Japan. I love Japan, beautiful place, but Pachinko is still pretty. It's pretty addicting. It's still pretty fun. It's a pretty cool game. So,
every couple of years, I've never been to Japan, but I'll look around and I can't find like a good Pachinko video game.
I tried applying to Pachinko with stuff that explodes on the iOS App Store. It didn't do very well, but it was still fun making the game.
Well, see, I would think all of Japan would want to download Pachinko video games, right? I mean,
that's what I thought too. I don't know what happened.
Okay,
I got outbotted.
All right, me and you are on the same page then.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why nobody downloaded my game, basically, but. So I went back to the tanks, Armored Tank Assault 2, basically, and then we had some other titles. But I felt like iOS development was more like a numbers game. It's better churning out 100 mediocre apps than like 2 to 3 high quality apps. And then all the big players came in there, big marketing, big players, and it just simply became a big player kind of a field, basically. And I was a little jaded from it, and I didn't like the piracy because it takes just as much work stopping the piracy as it does making a game, basically. So I got a little jaded on making software after that. So,
well, let me ask you this: when you're at a company like EA and you're building the same video game that plays on different platforms, are you essentially programming 3 different video games to be the same, or do you program one thing that can translate?
Yes, exactly. I think I'm way past my NDA for Electronic Arts, so I'm going to say the way it works in there. So
it's a general.
So again, So again, I had academic training in college, right? The academics want you to build the wheel, make the rubber, make the mold for the tire, and then it's like, okay, it's an understandable rite of passage. But man, when I went to EA, they're using game engines. You just click to switch build, the build switches. And then you can go to any platform you want, basically. So they use a multi-platform, like Unity and stuff like that. This is a legitimate way of making games, and EA uses them. So they're not building the wheel. They have an asset library of hundreds of thousands of wheels from every single video game. And they pull those in and reuse them, and then they have they use game engines such as Unity or Unreal Engine or Frostbite for Battlefield. Yeah, and so they're using game engines to port these back and forth. I've never seen one game that was built from like, okay, we got to build our game engine now. You ready?
Yeah, right. Rebuild
the wheel. Make sense. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So for the young developers in there that are in college, you know what? Do your academic work, earn your stripes, but it's not like that in the real world.
Yeah. Sorry, we went off on.
Actually, no. That's. I think this is a interesting. Or question that I was just thinking about when I was in the restroom.
I was taking a dump.
So in the programming world, there's like arrays, dictionaries, sorted lists. Is there a point where you think the academic world and or even what developers consider, how do I ask this? Some of it, I feel like some of it, it's not used very often, and yet you're expected to know it. Is there certain shortcuts or things you suggest people not learn? And
yeah, it depends on what your goal is. I mean, if you want credentials, I mean, if you're going to go through, you know what? You triggered a bigger thought here, and there's
Learn
certain
how to kiss ass.
money is more important.
Well, there's some industries where you don't really have to go. You don't really have to go academic. Certain like healthcare is important. Obviously, engineering is important, or people's safety or whatever is. Engineering, healthcare, stuff like that. You do want credentials and stuff, but you know what? I'm a huge advocate of OJT or on-the-job training now. And if you want to study games, you don't have to go to school for that. You could study online. You could if you're motivated, you could learn anything you want or do any trade you want, basically. So I mean, college is so expensive now, and all I really feel you're paying for is for meeting some good friends, social network, social experience, and just networking. Say again.
The cake stand.
The cake stand. That's right. Everybody's got to do beer bongs and cake stands. You can't just do that in your apartment by yourself. That's real world.
It's dysfunctional.
Real world. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Stuff like that. Just having fun. Socializing, stuff like that. That's probably the most valuable part of college, in my humble opinion. So.
Yeah.
And then what you're maybe alluding to is, I mean, ultimately it's just a name on a paper, a line on a paper that says, I went to this college, I got this degree, but it doesn't explain how well you're motivated to get something done. How well are you motivated to be able to complete that task?
Absolutely. That's right. That's a huge factor. And I mean, you can't, the SAT doesn't calculate grit.
Exactly.
But honestly, somebody with high grit and a low SAT score, and somebody with high SAT score and no grit, man, I'm still going to choose that grit developer.
Yeah. There's another thing I figured out as I was going through college. Like when you write up resumes, you don't put your GPA down. You just put that you got your accounting degree from San Diego State. So I was like, well, shit, all I have to do is just graduate. So unless I've got an incredible GPA, it doesn't help to get a pretty good GPA that I can't brag about.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And you see these students that barely make it through college, but professionally they're just rock stars. Yeah. And then you see the opposite. These people that straight A's, high honors, magna cum laude, or whatever, summa cum, whatever. And then you see the professional. Dude, what happened, man? You were like a
because they're
academic rock star
maximized for the academic environment.
It's okay for them to stay in academics sometimes.
Yeah.
I had this one coworker. He got hired as a director, and when I saw his resume, I was like, "Holy crap! I can't wait to work with this guy." He had JPL, NASA.
Wow.
I think he had Google on there. And I was just like, "Man, this guy! I can't wait to work with him." Get to meet him. He's a freaking super asshole. Like, just fucking wants to burn.
Arrogant.
He wants to burn everything down. He hates everyone. He actually was. It seemed like he was trying to get people fired, and he was trying to almost get them. It almost seemed like he was trying to find the worst way to get someone fired. Meaning, like, if he could get someone accused of sexual harassment, if he could get someone for, I don't know, I don't know. This is just absolutely the worst things. It seemed like he was. I have no idea what the heck was wrong with him. Anyways, this is a weird story, but what you're talking about, what you see on a resume, is not.
And you know what? If you can't work with people, or nobody wants to work with you, it's not a good thing. It doesn't matter what you know or whatnot. But if you can't work with people, you can't collaborate, or people don't like you. What's the fun? And it's not worth it. You're not going to get anywhere. Basically, you have bad people skills. You want to work with people you like. So it's I've had experience with people like that too. It's just you don't survive in the work environment very long. So
All right, next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
Oh, okay. Now you're so I had Bitcoin stolen on Mount Gox.
Oh,
Way
yeah,
back.
exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's how far back I go with crypto. Um, yeah. So after that was stolen, I became super bearish about crypto. I think blockchain technology is fine for validating. I think the best use of blockchain is to trade mortgages or something like that, basically, or public ledgers or something as far as expedite validation that something's legit. Or for example, a media quote. I think blockchain can make it immediate. Like, did Trump say this or did Biden say that? You can go through the blockchain and Biden can go back and say, "Oh, I didn't say that right here." So it's an invalid part of our media, basically. I'm super bullish on the blockchain as a technology for validation, fast validation. But as far as a currency, I'm super bearish. I would never put my money in crypto or any sort of crypto after what happened to Mt. Gox.
Yeah. So the exchange got hacked, and that makes you so negative on the idea of cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Think about it. Think about what's happening when you have cryptocurrency. Number one, all of it basically is ones and zeros on a hard drive. So there's multiple problems with it. Number one, it's a decentralized currency. So once you put it on an exchange, it's now centralized. So where are the hackers going to go? They're going to go on these exchanges.
Yeah,
and that's what they're all the exchanges have been hacked multiple times. They're trying to hack them. This is happening every day with all cryptocurrencies. Eventually, somebody's going to hack them and steal them. Not only that, it's being used for like ransomware. There's been a lot of successful ransomware attacks on healthcare infrastructure. Basically, so they literally have to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. This is terrible. I think it should be like we don't negotiate with terrorist policies. We don't negotiate with ransomware people.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I would think exchanges getting hacked, is that different than, say, my Bank of America online account?
Yes, absolutely. If somebody goes in there and steals your Bank of America online account, B of A can say, okay, your money's insured by the FDIC. Here you go. Here's your X amount of dollars back. Yeah. You can't do that with crypto. I'm in this Mount Gox lawsuit. I'm never going to see. I'm still just watching it. I'm never going to see crypto coming back. I mean, the amount of crypto I had was enormous compared to. Now it would be enormously high compared to what it was back then, but it's just really annoying. So I don't like the idea that somebody could just take something. And not only that, but when you run a cryptocurrency ledger on your computer, you're opening up your network to the whole internet, running 24/7. You're opening up ports on your system. You give these potential vulnerabilities or other things, basically. So I'm super bearish about crypto as easy as a currency.
Yeah,
I like physical stuff like silver, gold.
What's your thought about like offline wallets?
Yeah, but you eventually have to put them online. And what happens if you lose your offline wallet?
Don't lose it. Don't lose your silver and gold.
Punch it in.
I'm in California, and it's literally like California's on fire right now. I've recovered hard drives that have been in fire, but once you lose it's just I'm super bearish about that. But technology itself for expediting validation of stuff, I think is legit. It's fine. Peer-to-peer is good. So for stuff like that.
All right. Next question. What's the biggest problem for humans? What do we do to fix it?
Fucking strawberries. That's the problem. We'll spend all our time.
Everybody needs to grow strawberry plants. Strawberries are the solution to everything. So, but I feel like our this cancel culture. I think this huge thing about being censored online by certain platforms. I think it's wrong. I think we have a freedom of speech here for a reason, freedom of press, and I think we're intentionally being divided up unnecessarily over petty issues that have nothing to do with real world issues. It's charging people up, making people angry, dividing us. If you program, it's like we're in two different dimensions basically, with some news forking people off in one branch and other news forking people off in a different branch. And then you read two sides of the news. We're reading stuff that is like they're not even similar. The facts are different. Everything's skewed and distorted. It's extremely hard to discern what's truth and what's not, basically. So I think this is our biggest challenge is having some sort of a I want to say not only a free press, but a free platform where you can't express yourself, according to our founding father principles, basically. So that first amendment, the freedom of speech, that's the most important thing we have, and if we lose that, it's really sad.
How would you suggest we fix it?
Well, I think now there's a competition at our social networks to have free speech platforms that aren't regulated or owned by some of the bigger companies that are having this cancel culture, basically. So that's one thing. But again, they could get bought out or acquired, or they could be hosting their free social network platform on their servers, which has happened. But I think you know what. It's a difficult problem. I think there's been a lot of foreign influence in our media. It's a very difficult problem to solve. And most of our media is extremely biased. It's hard reading the agenda, or some people just accept it as it. But again, I think this comes a centralization of our media. Basically, I think like AOL Time Warner is like 98% of the media or something like that. But we need more media competition. More people podcasting like you guys are to bring out these opinions of what you guys are doing. Very important.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because we can talk about stuff, but we can't report on things. Like we couldn't tell you what's happening in Afghanistan, right? Because we're not there. So there's almost this network of reporters that you need some trusted way to get that information.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think all media helps. I think being able to create your media, and share opinions and insights, uninterrupted or without an agenda behind it, I think is extremely important for everybody, basically. So, but yeah. Now, what you guys are doing is very important. What you guys are,
maybe to add to what you're saying, Emmett. Hopefully, in those other countries, whether it be Afghanistan or whatnot, I know their government can be repressive to the people, but hopefully they could find a way to podcast and maybe with the means of blockchain or something, whether if someone could anonymously post what they feel, if they want to say something, whether through text or video, get that on anonymous way through blockchain or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anonymity is an okay thing for people in certain regions where they could have actual consequences to their physical safety or whatever. It's really sad that people can't express views or opinions in a majority of the world, basically, that they jailed, imprisoned, or fined, or disowned, or what. It's just really sad. I don't agree with all opinions in the United States, but I support them and their ability to say what they want to say or share their opinions. That's an important part of living in the country, basically. So I respect that, so it's really important.
Next question is a lot easier. What's your favorite food or dish?
Oh my gosh, I have to get a burrito fix at least once a week. I like burritos. I don't know why.
Delicious.
Like a carne asada burrito.
California style or just regular?
I don't like having French fries in my burrito. Yeah, the California burritos. I do kind of like avocados or guacamole sometimes, but yeah, I'm a burrito nut. Yeah, burritos. Yep, that's my weakness. Yeah, I could probably live off of burritos. If I had a burrito every day, I'd probably would not be disappointed.
I had a chicken burrito yesterday.
Nice. That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, you went to San Diego State. San Diego has very good burritos.
Yeah,
they do. Last question. Think of at least 2 friends that should do this conversation. Call them out.
Oh gosh. Okay, 2 friends that should have this conversation. That's a really good question. Let me think about that.
Doesn't have to be robot people.
Yeah. I do have some interesting people. 2 friends. I work with somebody. I will say his name. Peter. I'll just say his first name. I don't know what to say his last name. Peter, you gotta do one of these podcasts. And Mark Haney, he actually interviews people, but I would like to see him interviewed too. So
awesome.
People I call out. Yeah.
And then what does Peter do?
Peter is a defense consultant, basically. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
so how to keep the humanoid robots from getting attacked? I'm kidding.
Wouldn't he be the one putting in the contracts to buy the robots?
Yes. I was misinterpreting defense.
If someone wants to find your company, how do they find you? What's your website, or where do you want to point them?
Yes, I'm easily available on my website. My website is far-corp.com. That's far-corp.com. That's the name of the company. It stands for Favis Advanced Robotics Corporation. You can contact me through that website. I stay off of social media for security purposes.
Yeah.
But you can contact me through that website. You can send me an email. You can call me through the forward-facing call system we have. And would love to reach out to you. We're finishing a Series A here pretty soon. If you want to invest or are interested in humanoid robotics, which we do have the best patent out there, contact me. You can come to the shop. You can meet me and the team, basically. And, we can make some money. So I think we're going to do really good.
Awesome. All right, Steve, it was a pleasure talking to you for 3 hours. Thank you for sharing your information about robots, AI, and everything that you do.
Steve rocks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate this. This was a very fun interview. Really enjoyed hanging out with you guys.
Awesome.
Good to meet you, brother.
Cheers. Cheers.